Okay, that should fix it.
Well, would you look at that effect? I'm seeing a champion select screen. I don't know about you, but
There
that's a
we go.
drastic improvement over what we've been seeing recently, which has been a error message. Not nearly as many exciting things that we can theorize about when it comes to an error message, as opposed to champion select, which is one of my more favorite parts of the game. Honestly, Vladimir ban. Nothing interesting there though.
That's not unexpected at all at this point.
No.
So I'm glad we have everything fixed. I have the stream working properly. You're actually in the champion select. Nobody in the
Mm,
game is bugged out. Awesome.
it's settled down. You know, you can't run a tournament without at least one technical bug. I'm glad we got it out of the way early.
It'd be
Thresh
awkward later
ban.
in the night.
Thresh is a strange ban. Not, you know, Thresh is never really out of the meta. He's got too much utility packed into the kit for that to ever be the case. But he's not really been top tier for a little while yet. Maybe some respect going over to the support player here of Polar G, who is on the blue team, by the way. And on the red tonight, we have 420 help me for this, our first semifinal of the night.
That's what I imagine it has to be. I can't think of another reason they'd want to ban Thresh.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Demmer has Mad Life level skill.
I personally wouldn't put it past the team. Polar G, I've seen some of their previous gameplay. They are a strong team from what I've seen in the amateur scene. I wouldn't quite rank them as being up on the same caliber as some of the other teams that I've seen around the scene, but they've certainly got a lot of potential. There's some new faces on the team that I haven't seen before, but particularly Cortien Z. I don't recall exactly what impressed me, but the last time I saw him, because I do see a lot of amateur teams come and go. It's a very
I do
seeming
recognize
fluctuation.
his name as well,
Hmm.
but
But
it's been
I
a
remember
while.
being impressed. I remember being impressed by the guy's play. And if he made an impression, then I'm sure he'll be giving us something of a treat tonight as we do get through the final few bands. Teams taking their time with those. And it's
Victor, Hecarim, and Shen to round out those bands.
mhm. A lot of focus in the mid lane here with the Vladimir Malzahar and Victor ban.
Silly mages, no one likes fighting you.
There's been a lot of focus in the mid lane generally in the recent meta, though. A lot of really powerful mid lane champions have become sort of picker ban status, as Gragas is the first lock-in. A bit of a flex pick. We've seen a few top lane Gragases here at Reverie Esports, but most likely in the jungle.
Very, very likely the jungle. It's been a while since we've seen a top lane Gragas. Hopefully, maybe they'll surprise us. Maybe it'll be a top lane Gragas this time around, but I doubt it. Hovering on the Graves. We've seen Graves occasionally, not super frequently, but
Graves is one of those sort of second stringer junglers now that you go to when a few of the junglers that maybe you like to play more often are banned out. So maybe Sapling Wiz is a Hecarim player, and we're not aware of that ourselves, as these are some new faces, as I said, on both of these teams. And so Graves may just be a comfort pick for him with Hecarim off the table. Lucian locked in. Graves Lucian, that's a core of damage. But instead they're going to be swapping to just a really powerful duo lane. Grom Lucian has been for, I guess, years now. One of the better duo lanes that you can honestly pick up for just the 2v2 matchup. So a really strong bottom lane comp locked in immediately. And they still have room to maybe counter pick some solo lanes or look for a stronger jungle pick.
looking for what they're going to do. They're hovering on the Jin and Bard. Jin, of course, having nice, strong burst damage,
Hmm.
and Bard being Bard.
Now, when the enemy team walks in their duo lane really early, there's sort of two ways you can take it after that. You can either then answer with your own duo lane, and that's a really safe way to play the draft because it leaves your solo lanes open again, and then you're not open to being counterpicked. Or if you think there's some sort of power pick in a given lane that's going to be really strong between the two teams, this is something you do more often with teams that are familiar with one another in a long-term league or something like that. You go for that power pick that's left open by the enemy team picking their duo lane. But it looks like we're going to go with the safer strategy here of just picking in a duo lane in answer, which will be the Bard and Ashe. A whole bunch of initiation.
Look forward to seeing how those arrows work. And of course, we have the Bard magical journey for surprise attacks or escapes.
And Tempered Fate is a darn good initiation tool as well if you can land that correctly. Ooh, I like the LeBlanc. Mainly just because I like to watch LeBlanc. Very explosive, very fast-paced gameplay. Blind picking LeBlanc can be a little dangerous. There are some pretty hard counters to her, but a lot of them are kind of fringe cases that aren't really strong in the current meta. Things like Morgana mid, LeBlanc, Lulu mid. Some of the more defensive mid laners are really good against LeBlanc.
And they're hovering the Wukong. That could be a jungle or top.
Yeah, this picking their duo lane that early had, and the answer back of the duo lane pick from the side of Polar G here has put 420 Help Me into a position where they have to be the first one to pick a solo laner. So regardless of where that Wukong is going, they've picked up at least one of their solo laners. They've picked up their mid laner at this point. Yes, the Wukong is still a flex between jungle or top, but they'll be able to counter pick mid in particular if they're looking for a counter pick. So we'll see what Polar G goes for as they're rounding out the last two picks of their team composition.
Unless it's something silly like top lane LeBlanc.
That seems rather
Unlikely?
On the edge of possibility. We'll put it that way.
I
That's the kind
only bring it up because it actually faced against a top lane 80 LeBlanc before.
Oh man, just because it exists doesn't mean it's good. Oh, the Malphite pick would mean that the Gragas is going to the jungle, if that gets locked in. I like Malphite, particularly against a Wukong. If it's a lane Wukong, slowing down his attack speed is really valuable. Building all that armor, he wouldn't really be going down very often in the 1v1 unless he goes down early in the 1v1. So you just weather the first few levels and then you're fine once you get your first buy. And then a Zed pickup would be perfectly reasonable against LeBlanc as well. Instead of trying to counter the LeBlanc, just try and do her job to the enemy team better, you know? LeBlanc's going to be killing your AD carry. Instead of trying to stop her, just kill their AD carry and even it up that way. Zed's a little bit strange. You don't see a lot of Zeds nowadays because of the...
They did some nerfs to his... They
Yeah,
nerfed his kit a little bit.
Mhm.
I mean, I can't remember the specifics. I'd have to go back and look at the patch notes now. It's been so long since I've even thought about his Zed.
There were a few small nerfs to his kit, but it's more just that people have been playing champs that are better at evading the Zed and better at keeping their teammates alive through a Zed. He's kind of fallen off that way. A lot of assassins have fallen off because we have these big, tanky, CC-heavy teamfight comps, and assassins don't really thrive in those conditions. But that is a composition fully locked in now for the side of Polar G, and the answering pick will be a Kennen. So that will be a jungle Wukong there. It's going to be a Kennen in the top lane and a LeBlanc in the mid. An incredibly high damage composition from 420. They're a little bit lacking in terms of a front line. And they're a little bit... I don't know. I'm not sure if I like the Wukong Kennen pick and then a LeBlanc mid lane. It doesn't really seem to fit in with the general theme. But maybe it's just that Hyun is really, really strong with LeBlanc. You know,
That's
maybe...
probably what it is to me. He'll probably be off on the fringes looking for picks, anyone who goes up by themselves, and that could be allow them to engage with the Wukong in initiation, and of course there's a Kennen follow-up or Braum follow-up.
I just worry that against a team with Gragas, Malphite, Ashe, and Bard, they might be outdone a little bit in the team fights. Because they have like 80% of a team fight composition and the enemy team is rocking 100% of a team fight composition. But I do like the Kennen pick against a Malphite. For the laning phase, that is really strong, so that makes a lot of sense to lock it in.
I can already imagine his cries of, "Ow, stop hitting me, stop, stop!"
The death of 1,000 shurikens, but that is both teams locked in. on their 5-man compositions. We've got about a few minutes left on the delay to count down, so if you want to throw to some music effect, we can get into the match pretty shortly.
Absolutely. We'll be back, guys.
Feel paralyzed. Now I know it's over. I see you passing by, hand in hand, with your perfect light. I'm by a ghost town. Feels like someone cut my tongue. I didn't know my heart could die this young. I feel paralyzed.
We're back. We're in the game, but unfortunately my game seems to be not working correctly. Hold on.
Oh no, this is problematic.
There we go. I fixed it. Game catcher is still being wonky. I'll have to take a look
This
at
is-
it after the stream and get it to work again.
This is no longer problematic. Thank you. That was very quick. Well done, Effect. Well done.
I was prepared for the possibility because we had similar issues last week.
It's good to be prepared.
All right, we seeing Polar's doing something a little fancy here.
Yeah, avoiding that tri-brush is interesting. They're going to be coming straight up through the river.
Both teams are kind of getting really aggressive here.
Yeah, Polar G has not left any wards behind them, so they won't know of 420's advance. But 420's in a similar boat, unless they get spotted out in that ward, in that tri-brush.
Oh,
All right, they turn the corner, and it looks like Polar G's going to realize... Yep, we see all the pings. All the pings in the map.
so that was an interesting change of pace. We might seeing a fight down here.
Oh, man. 20 Force is going to be not quite face-checking into the bush. He drops ward in there. Enough awareness to realize that they may have gotten the drop on them.
His alcohol senses were tingling.
It's actually a big old bag of gifts on that Gragas skin. It's great. I love it.
I keep forgetting it's a
Nice
skin I
little-
haven't seen in a long time.
It's a nice little touch.
He has a flaskin inside, doesn't he?
Yeah, probably. Probably. Demmer with the not quite optimal Bard Leash. I've got to subtract points there. You can do that Bard Leash in such a way where you stun both Krugs, thus saving your jungler about 50 hit points, maybe a little less. Optimal. It's okay. I won't subtract too many points from him. He's still in the running.
He still has the rest of the game to show off what he can do.
I am interested in watching this bottom lane, though. Cortian Z is someone who's popped on my map once or twice. I'd be interested to see exactly why it is that I recall the name. As Link takes a big chunk of damage there. Nice stun from Demmer. Earning those points back. Octavian points. Redeemable for, well, nothing.
You
Nothing at all.
can brag you have Octavian points.
Yeah, if you have nothing else in your life to brag about, I suppose.
Ooh. See, how much is it? P-O-I? Poi? Not sure how you pronounce Zed's name.
We'll go with Poi.
Poi. His name is Poi now, and he will like it. Taking some poke there from Hyun, whose name I'm not going to pronounce the entire thing.
Hyun Myuji, I think. But yeah, Hyun Myuji, who we said was likely on this LeBlanc pick because he's likely some sort of LeBlanc prodigy, weaving that auto into the combo as well. Very smoothly played. And it looks like he's living up to the hype from Champ Select.
Definitely putting a lot of pressure on in that mid lane. I can see that Poi has already popped 2 of his pots.
Oh, yeah. That is one of the downsides about the LeBlanc versus Zed matchup. While they do similar things in teamfights and during the mid-game, roaming about the map and killing AD carries, respectively, in the laning phase, LeBlanc has the advantage purely because of the range mismatch. And it looks like Hyun is taking great advantage of that. Poi's doing his best to keep up in CS, though, and that's really all he has to do. Once they get past the level 6 mark, once they both get a chance to head back home and buy, he'll be alright, provided he hasn't died.
Ooh, we see in the top lane that Tebo here is taking a lot of damage. He's actually being suppressed pretty hard in terms of CS as well.
Kennen is one of the most ancient and revered of the lane bully species. He's very, very good at that. Whenever lane bullying is a thing which is not very valuable in top lane, you'll see Kennen fall out of the meta. And when it is something that is strong, when you see a lot of champs that are played more for team fight and for the mid game and don't care about the lane, Kennen will sometimes come to the fore, sometimes as a fringe pick for people who are really just fans of the champ to take advantage of his ability to bully out melee matchups like that.
Yeah, you can
Against a
definitely-
Malphite in particular is going to be rough.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be the easiest matchup in the world for him. Malphite, they're going to only be using him probably for his late game initiation, because I don't think he's going to be getting too much gold here unless Kennen starts to roam.
A nice little trick there from Poi, predicting or reacting to the distortion forward from Hyun. He avoided the damage by swapping back to his shadow and actually got an auto trade off with Hyun, which he of course is going to lead in as Zed. It's been relatively quiet so far though. Just seen a few nice little laning tricks from both sides, and honestly it seemed relatively even. The top lane of course is tilting towards Dragon Slayer, but that's by dint of the matchup more than anything else.
Yeah. Debo is
Debo
still.
is
He's taking a lot of damage. He's probably gonna have to back here. He has out of sustain, out of pots.
yeah.
He
I
might
suppose he's got some kind of sustain in the form of the teleport, though. He'll be able to get back to lane quickly enough.
probably going to work towards some extra. Oh, he's sticking around. We do see that Twanity Force is nearby, looking for a possible gank here.
It would be a little bit rough, though.
It's definitely
He's missing a lot of health.
it's definitely very risky with that low amount of health because we've been seeing that Dragon Slayer has been chunking him with those third auto attack procs.
Yeah, I'm actually interested to see exactly what Debo is sitting at for magic resist. He's gone for 41 magic resist, and I don't know Malphite's base MR off the top of my head, but I'd imagine that means that he only has some magic resist blues, and he's not rocking them anywhere else.
I think he has the standard at 30, so that sounds about right.
Yeah, it makes some sense, and it is why he's going to be chunked by that W. It's tempting to go for a little bit more MR, maybe in the Quince or something like that, against a Kennen lane, because it will help quite a bit against his Thundering Shurikens and such. But then he's just going to be autoing you a bunch with the Doran's Blade start, so it's really kind of an intractable problem. It's just bad to be a melee matchup into a Kennen, you know?
Yeah.
There's only so many ways to say it.
But he has went ahead and backed for the No Magic Mantle and the Health Crystal, so he's going to be a little more durable.
Mm-hmm.
Still not going to have the easiest time getting any kind of farm. And we look to see what Dragon Slayer gets on his first back, probably going to work towards either some kind of sustain or Azania's. It's been a while since I've seen a Kennen.
And Sapling Wiz is showing up for the first real gank of the game. Poi is going to lose a few hundred hit points, but then be able to back out. There's a moment of danger here for Deboeb up top, as well as Dragon Slayer's hit that level 6 breakpoint before he's managed to. So Dragon Slayer could go for the all-in. And speaking of level 6 breakpoints, you've got both Poi and Hyun sitting there as well. So some action could easily break out in the mid lane if one of these teams wanted to invest, perhaps. We'll have to see where the junglers go in the next maybe minute or so. I think that's going to be really impactful.
Yeah, they're both getting their buffs. Oh, Poi taking a lot of damage.
He's got that Hex Drinker finished off, though. It does get popped, the Ignite onto Poi, and it looks like he'll be trading the Hex Drinker passive for the enemy Ignite.
Definitely not able to get as much damage as he wanted there, but he was able to get out without popping his flash.
Yeah.
A worthy cause. But he is
Hex
losing a
Drinker
lot of
doing a
CS.
lot work. Oh,
Yeah.
on the bottom side of the map, we've got Demer coming in, but there's no level 6 from either Ashe or Bard. That is making this engage quite a bit harder. Cortians is exhausted and has to flash backwards, flashing away. Tempo Crow is going to get away with just a few hundred hit points. Here comes the culling, but it will be body blocked by Twanity Force and Cortian Z, respectively. There's the heal drop. Link dashing forwards, flashing forwards, though. He picks up the first blood, and Demer has to flash away as well. Tempered Fate comes down, but it's really not going to accomplish too much. The final words have already been spoken, and Link gets the kill.
Cortian's not quite able to get away because he had already popped his flash earlier in that fight.
Mm-hmm. To avoid Sapling Wiz's ultimate. Dang, I can't remember the name of Wukong's ult off the top of my head now. I'm going to cheat and hover over it. Cyclone.
Yes, that's like I've forgotten too. So there's some characters you don't see for a long time and you forget what all their abilities are.
Oh, both shurikens missing from Poi. He's already lost this trade. Any further commitment is really just going to dearly cost him. He goes down to a few hundred hit points here.
He definitely needs to be backing up here. He's popping his pots, but that was costly.
Oh, and there's the flash in. Hyunmonji is looking for it. He's going to force the flash out of Poi as well, trading summoners there.
Can definitely seeing some mismatches in the solo lanes here.
Mm-hmm.
Debo is almost 50 CS, is exactly 50 CS behind at this point.
Here's the Crystalline Arrow, though, traveling all the way from the bottom lane. Doesn't quite land onto anybody. A bit of a Hail Mary from Cortian Z. Had that landed, Gragas was in position to follow up, so Dragon Slayer may have been engaged on, but I think they spotted it coming up through mid, and so Dragon Slayer backed up for a moment just to make sure that nothing too bad in terms of shenanigans happened there.
No, the brilliant use of communication.
Man, Dragon Slayer must be sitting on a good old pile of gold. 2.6k. Still hasn't gone back to base yet. Still just sitting on that Doran's Blade.
Ooh,
Oh,
a little bit of a misplay.
Alex dropped onto a minion. Dragon Slayer may be in trouble. Malphite ulti is available, but they just can't bring Gragas to bear up here. He gets slowed down. There's the Unstoppable Force. Twanity Force lands with the belly slam, and there's the explosive cast. The Rift Herald is going to finish off the kill. Gets aggroed by Slicing Maelstrom. Sapling was, though, finished off the kill onto Poi off screen there in the mid lane, as he was left kind of high and dry on his way to the fight.
And Poi's definitely not having the easiest time here, even with a Hex Drinker.
Yeah, I thought that first item would be enough to sort of
To mitigate.
ease his pain in the mid lane, but it hasn't been quite yet. What I'd like to see is once Deathmark is available again, and perhaps once Flash is available again, a roam down towards the bottom side, because Ash Arrow will be back up. Ash Arrow is actually back up now, and Tempered Fate is available as well. So there's a lot of engage to follow up on as a Zed on the bottom side of this map. It seems like too good an opportunity to potentially pass up here.
Absolutely, and it's pretty obvious at this point that Hyun is the superior mechanical player here. So they need to be looking for other opportunities to make picks in other lanes, rather than him to be trying to fight out this lane that he can't win right now.
Yeah, a few of the 1v1s that we've seen, Hyun has done a good job of landing his combos, whereas Poi hasn't always landed every shuriken perfectly. But that's honestly not the worst thing. If you've got good synergy, if you've got good communication within the team, you can make up for that sort of thing.
So
That is not the be-all, end-all.
the game is not won in laning phase.
Oh yeah, by no means. But it certainly is a boon to whichever team can get that advantage.
Absolutely, and we're seeing advantages in pretty much all three lanes for 420 have the advantage right now, even if it's not by much. Pretty much the smallest disparity is in bottom lane, but there is a kill to the Lucian.
I think what we're gonna have to see is the side of Polar G looking to make some engages and make some cross-map plays within the next few minutes, because that's the last sort of window they'll have where the items won't be too heavily mismatched. Aside from top lane, the items are still somewhat even between these lanes, but oh man, it may not be enough. Core TNZ has dropped really rather low here. As we have Sapling Wiz coming in as well. He had the sweeper in that bush. There's the Ash Arrow blocking up the Tempered Fate. Sapling Wiz going to come out of that stun real quick because it was a point blank Ash Arrow. Only lasts about a half second.
Little miscommunication there, unfortunately. Ooh,
Cortez
Cortez is in huge trouble.
There's the heal, and Link gets the kill with the double tap. Oh, man. Oh, but here's the ulti from Debo Web, and there's the ulti from Twanity Force, knocking Dragon Slayer under the turret, where a body slam will hold him there a little longer, and Debo Web will finish off the kill. Some brute force in the top lane at least gets a kill back for the side of Polar G.
Very nice little gank by Twanity Force.
So, what we saw there was a really neat interaction between LeBlanc and Zed particularly. Ethereal Chains doesn't actually break when somebody goes invulnerable, but Poi may be in trouble as the Ignite is taking one more auto attack, and Hyun Myoji finishes off the kill. Nicely played in the 1v1. But as I was saying earlier, when somebody goes invulnerable like a Zedel, like a Deathmark, or like even a Sanguine Pool for Vladimir, Ethereal Chains doesn't disconnect from
Because it functions as a dot, and pretty much all dots don't break if you go into an invulnerable state. That applies to Fiddlestick's Drain, Malzahar, Space Aids. I'm trying to think of anything else. Nocturne Sphere. There's a number of abilities that are like that.
So Zed came out of the Deathmark invulnerability and was still ethereally chained up. Dragon Slayer, 20 Force has the aggro of that turret because he had the Cinderhold burning. Dragon Slayer forces the flash out of the jungler and may yet get the kill here on the Debweb, or maybe just force 2 flashes, but he's still coming in. He's got a flash of his own, and he's going to get the stun. He's going to get the W, and he will take home a kill.
Getting revenge for those ganks.
Oh, yeah. This is looking rough here for Polar G already, and we're only just now breaking the 14-minute mark. We haven't even seen LeBlanc roam anywhere. It's just been the solo kills for Hyun Myoji. Exercising all this power that he's got towards the bottom side of the map could be drastically dangerous.
Speaking of,
for the Ashen Bard. Oh, Sigil of Mouse not quite getting the kill. There's the heal from the Bard, who's roamed up from the bottom side. Demer gonna get the kill onto a greedy LeBlanc.
definitely a nice punish of the greed. Oh, here's a...
Oh, Polar. Again, Demer with the shrine saves his life.
Poi owes Dimmer a beer, I think. I think it's reasonable.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe at this point. That's twice in as many minutes. 20 Force is going to find Sapling was in the jungle, and this Wukong is not super tanky yet. A nice binding across the wall will slow him down, but there's just simply nothing to follow up with. They'll chase him away from the red buff, but in the meantime, Link and Tempo Crow took a turret.
Polar definitely needs to find something here to do. Need to get some gold, need to pick some picks possibly. There's no dragon. But we do still have possible fight in the red side. Sorry,
I
blue
don't know
side
that
jungle.
Denver can really contest this.
No, there's not much opportunity. Oh,
Oh,
Cortez in
Cortez.
trouble here.
He was way too far up. He has to flash and burn the ulti. Here's the Tempered Fate. Link is going to flash over it and get the killing spree as Tempo Crow is frozen into a beautiful posture. Now, Debo Webb is going to be coming in, but he's just going to get stunned up by that Braum passive and exhaust onto Link. That is a lot of damage out of the fight. There's the Unstoppable Force. They're really focusing in onto this Lucian, and for good reason. But this is given enough time for the mid laner to roam down. A nice Cosmic Binding from Demmer, and there's the Cosmic Journey, or Magical Journey, pardon me. Bringing a few members into the fight. Poi is going to almost get bursted, but just about swap away in time. And it looks like nobody else is going to go down as both teams disengage.
So 1-for-1 trade, not the worst thing that could happen, but actually no, I lie. That was 2-for-1 because Cortians did go down.
Yeah, Cortians was the first casualty in the fight. Debo Webb teleporting in arrived a little late because teleport does now have a longer cast time. Not quite as good for reactive plays as it was before.
Poi taking a lot of damage.
And there's the Hex Drinker pop. That's actually a significant cooldown, particularly in this matchup, and particularly with the amount of 1v1s we've seen between these two. He really can't go as aggressive with that off cooldown.
It's especially dangerous to get someone as bursty as a LeBlanc.
This is looking rough here for the side of Polar G. They've had some good team fighting, though, and they've had some good synergistic abilities during these fights. They've exercised their team comp correctly. We'll just have to see whether or not they can come back from the lane deficit which they've got themselves into. Wow, that's some damage into Demmer.
Denver does not have very much magic resist at the moment, so that hurt a lot.
Yeah. I think Demmer should maybe take that as a sign to start rushing into the Locket of the Iron Solari. I don't know. Hyun doesn't do a ton of AoE magic damage, but Dragon Slayer is going to. He's coming out of lane, 140 CS and a kill. An item and a half already completed. I mean,
He has Abyssal Scepter and a Haunting Guise, and Sorcerer Shoes, so lots of magic penetration, magic protection.
Yeah, I think they're going to need a Locket this game. I think Bard should probably be the one to build it, as Twanity Force needs to build into just some general tankiness, and he's actually gone a bit more team focused with the Sightstone as well. But he needs to be a little more selfish with this build because he needs to be tanky enough to survive in the front lines. But a Locket it's going to have to be in somebody's inventory.
I agree with that. There's definitely, it makes sense for Demmer to build it, but it might be a bit before he gets the gold necessary to do so.
Mm-hmm.
He has the Amp Tome, which is an interesting. I guess he still hasn't upgraded his gold item yet, so that makes sense now.
Mm-hmm. Build path and item choice on a support is one of the more important things as compared to how important it is on other roles. I mean, it's obviously important on everyone, but on supports in particular, because you have such a little gold to work with, makes a huge impact on how the early game will play out.
You see the Tempo Crow protecting their pink ward to keep vision control of that top side of the jungle.
Mm-hmm. Pink wards do now heal up, by the way, so if it doesn't go down, it's worth protecting. As now I believe it's actually regened all the way back up to full health. So.
That was a change I'd always hoped they'd
them.
make. Ooh, nice arrow.
We have the engage, the Tempered Fate, plus the Unstoppable Force. Deboweb gonna get snared up by his own team as he goes in. Link on the backside will do some damage before he falls. It's a 1-for-1 trade so far. Now we have Dragon Slayer Z coming in. This is the first team fight he's been a part of, and it will end very swiftly. As in a 2-for-1 trade overall, we'll be seeing 420 taking a relatively decisive victory.
A little bit early on the Tempered Fate, unfortunately. They could not finish off Link because of that as quickly as they would have liked. It did lock up Debo.
While Cortianzi's arrow was a part of that fight, it was the initiation tool that was first used. Cortianzi himself was actually not there for the majority of it because he fired the arrow from bottom lane and was walking up for the duration of most of that fight. So it was sort of a 4v5, which isn't a great thing.
Absolutely.
24's going in here.
Seeing he is nice and durable, not getting bursted easily.
Mm-hmm. But I don't really see much hope for Gragas chasing down a LeBlanc at this point.
Yeah.
They do want to cancel her base again. Oh, they have the flash body slam. They're looking to burst her out, but they simply don't have the damage to bring to bear. And LeBlanc gets away. I mean, it's not too surprising.
Seeing them clearing out some of those pink wards. We do see that the north side jungle still has a lot of vision coverage.
Oh, yeah. That's the mark of an aggressive team right there. Pink wards in the enemy jungle. They're looking for optimal vision control across the whole map here. Link sitting on the bot side is going to catch this large wave that Core TNZ has shoved up. And meanwhile, Deboweb is getting some much-needed farm in the top side. Almost 100 CS behind his opponent. Top lane has been something of a disaster this game.
Absolutely. The Malphite pick was a little, what's the word I'm looking for here? A mistake, I want to say. As he couldn't deal with the bully cannon, even with the gank pressure from Tuanity Force on that Gragas.
I think the Malphite pick may have been the right call, provided you played around it a little bit better. Maybe they did try and camp the top lane a bit, maybe camp it a little bit more. Oh, still going in with the Death Mark. Poi, not having the benefit of the Crystal Arrow, is still going to be going for this 1v1 kill. Well, the 3v1 at this point, but Hyunmin has a lot of mobility. He might be able to get out of here. He actually gets the kill onto Poi before he makes it out. Core TNZ flashes forward for the auto and finds himself in the middle of the enemy team. A bit of a mistake from the Ashe here, as Deboweb is going to get stunned up by that slicing Maelstrom, and the flash is forced out of Demer. Dragon Slayer 7 coming in for the cleanup. No one goes down, and they get 3 kills. Oh, Hyun actually did go down on the backside of the fight.
We did see Debo manage to get him from the side and ult him. That was how he was able to pick him up. Yep, he came out of nowhere, like a meteor.
That's a lot burns to kill that LeBlanc, though.
Absolutely.
Way more than she's worth.
Poi unfortunately missed his shurikens again during his combo, so that's basically a lot of damage that went missing.
And Core TNZ flashing forward is what really sealed the deal for that fight. That was way over aggressive as an Ashe playing against a team with a Wukong and a Kennen. You gotta be respectful of that amount of lockdown and damage.
Absolutely. And this Wukong is getting kind of scary. He has the Black Cleaver. He has the Warrior upgrade for his jungler item.
And I mean, Kennen, as you mentioned, has all of that magic pen, and there's no magic resist in Core TNZ right now. None at all. Normally he'd have the aura magic resist from Demer's Bard, but he hasn't been able to finish that yet as he's opted for boots and an upgraded support item first. But Hyun is going to get stunned up here, actually stunned against his clone, of all things. And he goes down. They find the pick. This is what their composition is good at. Ashe ult, Malphite ult, Bard ult. They can get really long-range picks and pick someone off. They've tried 3 times now. The other 2 times, it's turned into a messy team fight. But this time it was a clean pick, and we'll see what they can do with it.
3rd time's the charm.
Perhaps here for the side of Polar G. I mean, they're not out of the fight. They've got a great composition drafted. They're just well behind in terms of gold total. 8K or so.
They definitely need to pick up the pace here. Hopefully they can do this without making too many mistakes, though Dragons are looking for a possible initiation here. They do know he is there, though.
This is one of the reasons why Bard is pretty good in a siege situation. He can block out some auto attacks like that. Turret loses half its health, but it will not go down. And they continue to starve Polar G out of gold.
Baby steps. They need to take what they can without getting too greedy.
I think Bard completing the locket, or even just the Aegis component of the locket, is going to be a pretty big deal for them. If they keep going for these team fights, either that or they need a lot more clean picks like what they just got, which seems to be their game plan. They're really, really going hard for those picks. Whenever they see LeBlanc out somewhere, they fire off an Ashe Arrow. There it goes, lands onto Hyunmoji. They're coming over the wall, but Tempo Crow is going to block that Cosmic Binding. Tempered Fate not going to find any marks, and there's the Braum ulti to buy a little bit of time. Tempo Crow going to be stunned up, but he's rather tanky, and Dragon Slayer is taking so much advantage right now of a fight that has gone to hell and back for the side of Polar G. Trinity Force is burning from that Ignite and will fall, and Core TNZ is the last man standing. He was standing in the wrong corner. And we'll go down. Oh,
Poi did escape.
I spoke too soon. Yeah, Poi is the last man standing here.
But I do believe that is going to be all she wrote for him.
Stun comes through. The Shuriken finds its mark, and Zed will fall. That is a clean ace.
They definitely wanted Hyun again, but Tempo had a very, very nice wall that blocked off the Bard stun.
Yeah, and they should have disengaged after that. Like, the Bard stun doesn't land, cut your losses. Run. Maybe one of your teammates dies. One of the people who was overextended expecting the pick to come through dies as Kennen comes down from the top side. But sticking around to try and take that fight when you're at that much of a gold deficit, and particularly the Kennen and Wukong are full health and ready to rumble, you're going to lose that fight.
Absolutely. They were in a nice small area that basically fully benefited Wukong and Kennen there.
They had a small window of opportunity in which to act. They didn't quite execute on it. And then they had an even smaller window of opportunity in which to cut their losses and run. And they didn't go for that.
Absolutely. We see Dragon Slayer picking up even more magic penetration with that Void Staff.
I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. As we're going to be hopping into a little bit of a pause here.
Very curious. Wonder if we're having some technical difficulties.
I would hope not. Hopefully, we won't be in the pause for too very long, but it does give us an opportunity to talk about the game as it's progressed to this point and that sort of thing. Looks like Sapling Wiz is having some issues. Hopefully, he'll be back with us very shortly. One of the things that I was a little worried about for the side of 420 after their draft was the lack of a tank line for them. I don't think that's going to be a worry anymore if the game never progresses to the late game. You know, if Ashe never ramps up to the point where she's shredding people with Ranger's Focus.
We do see that Wukong is getting durable, though. He does have the Black Cleaver health, and he's building what I imagine is going to be probably a Demon's Plate. This gives him stronger initiation while he is stealthed. And, of course, Braum is naturally tanky.
I mean, they're not entirely lacking in tanks. They don't have the Malphite or the Gragas or something. Like,
Yeah.
I would say that were this game at 40 minutes and everybody had 5 items, honestly, I would give it on paper to Polar G, all of the things being equal. But we're not at that point, you know? Very evidently, 420 has a bit of a lead, and that sort of thing will obviously tilt the scales. They've got 2.5 to 3 items on most of their solos, whereas the enemy team is rocking 1.5 to 2. It's a full item advantage for most of these solo lanes, and even the AD carry.
Absolutely. We do see that Dragon Slayer does a ton of damage to Demmer without even his full combo.
Oh yeah, they maybe could have committed a little harder for that. And honestly, that's the main difference I'm seeing between these teams. You know, Polar G, they don't seem to have as much discipline as 420 does, which is not a sentence I anticipated saying. But 420 will sort of hedge their bets. A team fight will look like an opportunity, and they'll go for it only as long as it seems like a good opportunity, and then they'll back off. They'll cut their losses sometimes in these fights. Whereas Polar G will see an opportunity and will laser point focus onto it, which can sometimes be a good thing. And it probably works out for them, I'd estimate, with like guaranteed victories in about half their games. Enemies who don't know how to handle that sort of focused aggression. But if you're against an enemy who can react to that appropriately and in time, it's not going to work as well.
Well, we do see that 420 is roaming a little bit towards top. They might be able to catch a Debo here. Or they're going to go for Baron. They're ignoring Debo and going for Baron.
Yeah, they've got vision control over it. There's a pin cord that's going to spawn out Dragon Slayer 7 here, so it looks like they'll know that it's going down, but it's already down below half hit points, and it's not going to be going down any slower. There's the Tempered Fate. It'll catch out 4 members of the enemy team. We'll see if they do anything with this. Debo Web coming in for the 2-man ulti. The Crystalline Arrow not connecting, but Dragon Slayer 7 is going to answer in kind with some AoE of his own. A lot of damage. There's the double kill for Link, as he's going to go for the triple kill, but it gets stolen away by his mid laner. At this point, though, it's just a matter of janitorial cleanup duties as Dragon Slayer comes through the portal to be stunned, and Hyun Myoji looks to finish off the support. Triple kill for the mid laner and a double kill for the AD carry.
And a super clean ace by 420 there. Oh, man, that's rough. This might be game, possibly. At
Ace
least.
and Baron can tend to do that, yeah.
Oh, yeah, taking a little turret damage there.
I think he can afford to at this point. 420 has done a brilliant job of managing these team fights, and that I think is the best term I can come up for it. They've had more of a handle on the fights when they've broken out. Polar G has been opting into fight after fight, and they'll get the fight, they'll get what they want, and then maybe not know what to do with it afterwards. They look
like
a little bit lost.
Picking up a poisonous snake and not knowing what to do with it.
That's not a pet. That's not a pet. Don't take it home. Oh, man. And Lucian's sitting on a core triple item build, whereas Ashe has still not even begun work on her third. This is looking rough.
Huh? We do see that Polar's kind of gathering up here in the jungle here. They're possibly looking for a pick when somebody comes for Courtians in the bot lane. That's all I can imagine what's going on here.
I mean, if they can get one, that will play to their strengths. Polar G has been attempting some rather cheesy things this game. And it looks like 420 has been able to read the cheese, as it were, and respond appropriately in a lot of these fights. But maybe we'll see a Crystalline Arrow snag somebody here. Polar G will be able to collapse on them like a horde of wolves. However, they get spotted out by that blue trinket. They're all going to start basing animation. Sapling Woods phase checks into the very much wrong bush, and he will go down. That shutdown gold will go a long way towards helping them back into this match.
The only thing I can imagine was Sapling was trying to delay their backs, but it worked.
Yeah, I mean, worked is questionable, though, when you're losing an inhibitor on the top side. The exhaust on the Hyun, they're focusing down this LeBlanc as best they can, but the Zhonya's Hourglass plus her passive will save her for now, and Link is wreaking havoc along with Tempo Crow. A double kill to the 80 carry here, as Tempo Crow is going to keep Hyun alive through Korchienzi's attempts to finish off what his team started, and Korchienzi is going to get bursted by Hyun Myoji under the turret, as he is dominating appropriately enough, given his performance this game. And that will be one Nexus turret falling. They'll look to pad their KDAs a little bit and be successful at it no less, as Hyun Myoji gets a kill on the Nexus, and the inhibitor, pardon me, the Mega Inhibitor, the Nexus, will go down.
That's a very, very large inhibitor. And instead of
Yes.
spawning super minions, it ends the game.
It's a granddaddy inhibitor.
And with that, 420 Help Me is going to pick up the win, moving on into the finals.
All right, do we have another semifinal match tonight, Effect, or are we heading into the finals ourselves?
Well, let's have a look. Oh. Wrong title screen. There we go. Okay. Looks like the other semifinal match is between Boy If You Don't versus Bobo. Interesting team names.
All right, interesting. I'm excited. I hope you guys are as well. Give us just a few moments to get into the lobby.
Okay, looks like it's already started. We'll be able to spectate off of Rev James, so I'm going to go ahead and jump into it.
All right, we'll do a spectate chain. You spectate off that guy, and I'll spectate off you.
It'll work perfectly.
It'll be a ladder of spectating. Oh, dang it. Where are you in my friends list? I'm too popular.
Too many names, too many names.
Oh, man.
Alrighty, looks like...
Speaking of names, these team names are ones I've not seen before, so I'm intrigued to see where we're going. Given that they've gotten to the semifinals, and we did have 12 teams enter into the match tonight, so it's not a pushover. There's no buys moving into the semifinals here tonight.
Absolutely, and I gotta take a moment to see who is on what team to change the tags.
Oh man, we've got L Meme Machine. Oh man, I'm so excited.
Okay, I think I got it.
I'm so excited. We're 22 minutes in already. We're a little bit into this match. We may have to guess. Let's play the guessing game of what's happened so far. As 125191 is getting dove here by RMK Line. There's the hook on the mainland. Playing Trundle, no less. And he's going to be able to get out of there. RMK Line picking up a kill in the mid lane. Oh my god, that's Pool Party Tarek. I'm so excited.
Such an amazing skin.
It is so great. It is so darn great. I love his ulti. He brings some sunglasses down from the heavens for his whole team, and the enemy team can just deal with it, or in most cases they can't.
Okay, I have the 3-digit acronyms created. Boy If You Don't is now Bud, and Bobo is now BBO.
So we've got Bobo on blue, it looks like.
Yes.
Don't. Okay, then. Boy, if you don't win that League of Legends, you don't want to know what's going to happen.
Okay, let's have a look to see who is winning now that I'm actually able to watch the game. This is, interesting.
It's a very even match here. It looks like Bobo's having a little bit of troubles with board control, with game control. I almost went full Hearthstone there. With map control. It's one of those things.
Map control, board control, they're not all that different.
As they are down 2 turrets right now in the global game. But it looks like they're running a bit of a pick composition. At least that's what the Blitzcrank signals to me.
Alrighty.
Okay, as well.
Maokai is definitely having a little struggles here. He has 7 deaths. We have Greasy Pig on the Echo with a second item, Guardian's Angel.
That's becoming more... Early Guardian's Angel is becoming more popular. I don't want to say that in particular is becoming more popular, because no, it isn't. Most people don't go second item. But third item is certainly not unheard of. Second item, I guess, in some particular scenarios. Since we didn't get to see the majority at the beginning of this match, I can't say the viability... I can't really speak to the viability of it in this... Oh, man!
What a hook.
Fiction! I completely forget what I was talking about. I'm blown away. Farsi Dez. You beautiful, beautiful, beautiful bot.
I imagine he accidentally just missed and,
I don't know.
RM Klein just walked right into it. Either way, it was really impressive.
It was indeed. Farsi Des,
Very, very reminiscent of Mad Life.
your new god of Blitzcrank, everybody. And Dragon is now on the menu here for the side of Bobo as Farsi Des lands a beautiful hook. And that's why you pick Blitzcrank, you know? That is the whole reason why people play Blitzcrank. And that's the whole reason why you don't often see him at high-level play, because most people won't get hooked. But if you're really good and you can manage to land him, Blitzcrank is quite a solid pick.
There have definitely been players who've shown over the years that Blitzcrank can be strong if you're good at him. And this Baron attempt is going to be not a Baron attempt. They're going to go ahead and retreat. They weren't burning it as quickly as they would like.
Yeah, Blitzcrank is one of those champs that preys on enemies' mistakes, and when you're at a level of play where mistakes are less common, of course Blitzcrank is a little bit less good, but
At that point, you need to be looking for things that aren't mistakes and just be godly predictions.
you have to be a little bit more proactive, which of course makes it a little bit more difficult. Anyways, let's take another short glance here over these teams, over these compositions. I like the mid lane matchup. I actually really like Azir versus Cassiopeia because they sort of fulfill the same role and yet do so in interestingly different ways.
Absolutely.
Whereas Azir has the mobility and utility in a team fight, Cassiopeia just takes that damage and steps it up even one notch further. Cassiopeia has such absurd damage if you can manage to use it correctly.
Definitely not the easiest damage output to get going, but once it gets going, definitely a really, really high DPS mage.
There's a lot of like limiting mechanisms on Cassiopeia, but they're there because they have to be, or else she would be absurdly broken because of the amount of damage that she can output. But if you're able to, through mechanical play, overcome those limiting mechanisms, you can unlock just massive boatloads of damage.
You get some damage,
Not
you
very,
get some
very-
damage, and you're dead.
Oh, they don't want any more damage. I had so much left to give.
Oh.
1215191. I like that name.
It's a very, very interesting name to be casting.
It's a challenge. It's a challenge for sure.
I do like Elmi Machine though. It's very easy. Very
It sort of
memey.
rhymes though. You know, you can get a rhythm there. 1215191. You can get a rhythm going on that name. It's good.
See,
Farsight
Farsight,
is looking for the hook. He's doing it.
they're like,
This time,
they're not
Monkey
interested.
Lion is not buying any of what he's selling anymore. Before he's even near him, he's going to shifting sands away. He is not waiting around to see what happens. But now they're going to be engaging themselves. El Meme Machine stuck at the front line. He is not very tanky just yet. As you mentioned, he came out of landing phase. A little bit worse for the wear. He's going to be going down. Farsi Dez will be following shortly after unless he flashes away. And here's that Cassiopeia damage I was talking about. 1215191 is turning around and he's getting a lot of burning done. But he will fall himself. He's opened up the door though for Jaxer. And Jaxer is taking that opportunity. But he will be falling to a nicely placed Javelin. And it looks like we're going to be seeing Boy If You Don't take home this team fight victory. And perhaps a little bit more as they go for a secondary turret push.
And we see a nice little ace, leaving two members of Bud up. Boy, if you don't.
Well, if you don't win that team fight, then you won't get the turrets. But they do win the team fight, and they're going to be taking 2 turrets off of it. As Raphael Natalie and Art is Pain. Oh my god. I feel like I'm 17 again.
That's very edgy.
Angsting all over the place. Somebody get the edge away from that man. He's got to cut himself with it.
Elmi Machine almost close enough for a twisting to there, but it decides not to follow up on that. Did I get this building name right? I don't think I did.
Which
Twist-
one?
Maokai's W.
Advanced.
Twisting Advanced. I knew it was twisting something, but like that first thing I thought was Nether for some reason.
Twisted Advance. Pardon me. Not
Twisted. Okay.
Twisted Advance.
Okay. Man, I'm rusty. We do see they're approaching Baron, but I can't imagine they're actually... Correct me, I am wrong.
Burn this thing down. They've got the tanks to, well, tank it in the form of Echo and Maokai, and they've got the damage to shred it with Cassiopeia and Lucian, so they may just try and rush it down as quickly as possible. It's down below 1k health. The smite's gonna come through. Oh my god, it gets secured by Greasy Pig after the smite doesn't quite get it. Oh, he gave me a heart attack there. Anyways, in the back of the pit, though, we do have Vaneland going down. I really think that Bobo needs to back away off this team fight, but they do not seem to agree with me. There's the hook onto the Nidalee. Farsi Dez is just about escaping, barely any health left, but a boomerang is going to put to the test any sort of hopes for that. Greasy Pig gonna reverse his polarity as he shouts so gleefully, hopping back towards the team fight, but Divine TJ will be flashing forward and actually missing the dazzle there. But in a calm, cool, and collected chase, they still may manage to get this kill. A few more Silverados will do it. The boomerang flies out, but he face dives forward onto a minion. He doesn't manage to dodge the second dazzle, though, and that was pretty crucial. He will go down.
That was 4 for a Baron.
Such a close. That was so close to complete disaster. It was still pretty disastrous for the side of Bobo, but Greasy Pig smited it and left it with 47 health.
I saw that. That was a little nerve-wracking.
Nerve-wracking. That's a good way to say it.
Oh, Force Knight's looking for a pick here, but the Spell Shield comes out to block the hook.
Why does Sivir always lose in Spelling Bees?
Why does she lose in Spelling Bees?
Because she can only spell shield.
Oh, God.
Hey! Oh, man, I'm original and funny. I promise. Sometimes. Not then, though. Not then.
You totally stole that joke, didn't you?
I might have done. Oh, one of my favorites, though, about Sivir. What does Sivir think a duck is? Oh, no, sorry. What does Sivir think a goose is? I gave it away! Better duck. Better duck. Because it's one of her voice lines. You know, that's the joke. It's a reference.
Yes.
It's referential humor.
Oh.
There's the phase dive from Greasy Pig. He does not want to give up this red buff, and he will be taking it. Raphael Nidalee might be in some trouble now as the red buff is slowing down. He almost... Oh my god, Farsi does almost got another Mad Life there. If his hook had been a little bit longer, he would have got it.
They do
But, you know,
lose
the
the next
ladies
dragon.
always tell you if your hook's a little longer, you might get it. Raphael Nidalee is in some trouble as he leaps away from yet another hook from Farsi does, not quite connecting again. You know, maybe it's one of those one-in-a-lifetime situations in Farsi Dev with that hook earlier, as he's not been able to replicate it again, and he will be falling as he does not built for the front line here. El Meme Machine might be a little bit better built for the front line, but with no team to back him up, he's going to fall relatively quickly as well. The exhaust, in fact, just to make sure he goes down.
See, Boy If You Don't is snowballing this match out of control at this point.
Oh, man. And it looks like they're going to be snowballing it into another turret down here on the bottom side, which... No, they've got more than a few, but they're always willing to take another. 1-2-1-5-9... 1-2-1-5-1-9-1. Got it right that time. Is going to be falling here as Greasy Pig gets the 4-man parallel convergence to save his own life. But that's all it's going to accomplish.
And it looks like they are going to lose another turret to this.
It will likely pop just a few more hits. The inhibitor going to be going down summarily as well, and we may be done with our second semi-final match of the night, folks, and moving on to the finals rather soon. I don't think that Farsi Dez can perform some sort of miracle here. He's a blitzcrank, not an exorcist. RMK line
Jaxer.
His pain is legendary. Cutting all of his foes with his edge. El Meme Machine diving to the back line. He will manage to pick up the kill onto the Azir. Look to finalize, the kill into Artist Pain as well. He wants to shut this man down. One more auto will do it. There's that base AD doing work. Meanwhile, though, Vantland and Divine TJ are hammering away at the Nexus. El Meme Machine is powerless to stop this.
He does not have the damage to kill 3 people, especially a tank Trundle.
That poor Meme Machine.
And with that, that is going to be Boy If You Don't, moving on into the finals to face off against 420 Help Me.
I couldn't Pepe fast enough. Pepe's were not rare enough. And that will, yeah, as you say, be Boy If You Don't, moving on to the finals to face off against 420 Help Me. Oh boy, we've got some great names in the finals here.
It's the Stoner versus the Angry Grandpa.
Boy, if you don't stop it with that 420 nonsense. So help me.
Alrighty, so hopefully we get our tournament code fairly quickly.
Did I get credit for that? That was pretty clever.
That was pretty clever. I'll give you credit for it.
That's a modicum of cleverness there.
Alrighty, there is the next tournament code. Lovely.
Oh, man. Nothing gets me excited like a string of nonsensical numbers and letters. That's why I fell in love with the CAPTCHA.
Oh, CAPTCHA bot. Alrighty, we're getting lobbies filled up pretty quickly here.
How did you know that 7D12 Egger was my safe word, CAPTCHA bot? How did you know?
It reads minds. It's further proof that Skynet is going to take over everything.
All right, well, we do have a little bit of time left before we can get all the teams together into the lobby for the finals. It will be a best of 3 as well, by the way, so there's a lot more gameplay to come your way, folks. I'm excited. I hope you're all excited.
After
How
these,
about you, Effect?
I am also excited. We've seen a couple of fairly action-packed games, even though we didn't catch all of the second one.
Hmm.
So hopefully that trend continues and we can see a nice match.
I'm a little, I'm a little sad that we're not going to see the legendary Blitzcrank in the next game. He's out. What was the name again? Dang it! Now I can't remember the player's name. Oh, I feel bad. I feel bad. I see so many players. They
It
come
starts
and
with the
go.
P, and I already forgot how to
Yes.
pronounce it. I can see it's like Pharcydes.
Farron says that's what it was, right?
Something
Or
like that.
Far
Pharcydes?
Farris. Dang it! This is gonna bother me. Anyways, oh, we should have just a few more minutes before we get into the game, folks.
Oof, need to get a drink. Imagine you need a drink after all that shouting.
Man, I did it. I did an 8-hour cast once. I I am the Iron Man of casting. I can shout about video games for a very long time, which oddly enough, it's not a skill that's gotten me hired at a lot of places. You know, not a lot of professional environments are looking for someone who can shout about video games lots on their resume.
That's unfortunate. It's a valuable talent, I think. And we do see the lobby has filled up. I'll go ahead and let them know I am ready. I might step over to the fridge to get a drink of water, but that's about it.
It's okay. I'll hold down the fort. Effect. You go get your water.
I have returned with my water.
That was remarkably quick. Do you cast from your kitchen?
My kitchen is like 3 feet behind me. Anyone who's ever watched my stream knows that the fridge is actually visible from my monitor.
You're living the dream, my friend. My
Uh,
kitchen is 2 rooms away, and it's a problem.
let me think here. I used to keep my PC in my bedroom, but I decided to move it out of the bedroom to help me sleep, and I have been sleeping much better when I moved it out.
Thrilling tales of Effect's bedroom on the Reverie Esports stream tonight. Everything all of our viewers wanted, and more.
If you haven't
So,
tried it, you guys should try it. It's a lot easier to sleep when the computer isn't there for some reason. I don't know why. It's weird. Alrighty. So I am ready. I have my water.
casters are locked and loaded. We're just waiting on the teams. We're just waiting on the teams at this point. One of the players is asking us to choose our team. I'm not sure why.
Alrighty. I guess I'm gonna choose boy if you don't.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I like that Ken and Wukong as synergy from our semifinals. I gotta go. I have to go with 420.
Alrighty.
420, help me.
I'll take that bet. I don't know where we're betting yet, but we're betting on it.
Our casting pride. Heaven knows I don't have any of that left. Well, just pride in general. All right, so yes, we do. For those of you just tuning in, have help 420 help me on the red team, blue team. It looks like for this first match, and facing off against them on the red is going to be boy if you don't.
And speaking of things, let me go. Boy, my OBS isn't even open right now. Okay. Got it. We're not fixed because I don't have the titles fixed. Maybe fix that real quick.
And it looks like we are into champion select as Effect works on getting all those little bugs worked out in his OBS.
Got it. Fixed. All right.
We aren't too far into champion select as neither team has banned out a champion yet.
Oh, there's the Jin ban.
Jin is banned off the table for Art is Pain, who was 80 carrying in the last match. It looks like the teams may not be in LCS order, which is a little bit frustrating, but that's fine. The Kennen ban, though, against WC Dragon Slayer 7, some respect to our first semi-final of the match, of the night, pardon me.
They saw that nonsense and they were like, we're not dealing with that nonsense.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, just about right. Maybe they just want to pick a melee top laner, you know? They want to leave their options open. They want to be able to pick a Malphite.
Absolutely. I can Having been under the thumb of a Kennen bullying me around, I can completely understand.
Malzahar banned out. If Hyun Myoji is going to be going back to the LeBlanc, I can understand the Malzahar ban. Malzahar is actually quite a decent pick against LeBlanc because of his new passive. Is really strong against just burst assassins in general, and then of course he can lock her down with Nether Grasp. So banning the Malzahar says that Hyun wants to go back to LeBlanc. So I wouldn't be surprised if we then saw a LeBlanc ban from Boy If You Don't, which you have to say with that inflection every time you say their name.
Absolutely. We also see a Vladimir ban coming out and a Tarek ban. So,
Divine
it's just,
TJ was playing Tarek the last game. So
yeah,
didn't have a
no,
target.
no pool party Tarek. Now we have to be sad.
I'm sad. I don't know about you, but I am certainly sad.
Yeah, I am very, very sad. Such an amazing skin. Wonder if they're ever gonna. It looks like that the trend is they're gonna make pool party skins every year.
That's a pretty darn good trend. I want to see pool party Vel'Koz. He's like just got pool tools hanging, pool toys hanging off of all of his different tentacles.
It's got little
There's the
floaties on
Hecarim
all his
ban.
tentacles.
Hecarim was banned against Sapling was last time we saw him tonight. So he's managing to get onto his comfort pick because of some of the target bans in the form of the Kennen and potentially in the form of the Talia. I'm really surprised at Talia. We've seen that Hyun Myoji is more than happy to go into LeBlanc. Talia is actually a great pick against LeBlanc. It confuses me a little bit.
Let me double check the bans from that previous game. I think they might have banned. Did they ban? I don't think they did. Never mind.
No, they didn't. Unraveled Earth is just it's really strong against distortion. I'm surprised, but Hyun is actually going to be going off the LeBlanc pick and onto something a little bit potentially more team focused in the form of an Azir.
Azir, of course, still has that high DPS, even with just nerf after nerf every patch, and showing that it's going to take a bit more than that to remove the Emperor of the Sands.
We're going to see Artist Pain though back onto the Sivir that we saw him on last game. Oh man, a Draven would be brave. Draven would be braven, and I don't think we're going to be seeing it. Bard would make some sense though. Bard does at least contest the 2v2 with against a Karma, does decently enough there. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Bard and Hecarim and Azir so far for the side of 420 Help Me, and now we're getting into our third and fourth picks respectively for Boy If You Don't, who might be going with the Kazakhs.
It'd be interesting to pick to see Kha'Zix. We don't see a lot of Kha'Zix. He's been considered a little on the lower end of assassins, though maybe things have changed in recent patches. They did rechange Tiamat to further back to the AoE on auto attack instead of being an active, which was a big reason I thought originally that they stopped playing Kha'Zix. But here he is making a return, it looks like, with a Victor as a mid laner.
Yeah. Potentially a risky pick. Kha'Zix is pretty much always a risky pick because there's just the potential that you don't manage to snowball to any sort of degree in the early game. Like, you don't need to snowball super hard for Kha'Zix to be alright, but you need to get a kill or two or a CS lead or some sort of objective lead over your opponent to be able to make Kha'Zix really shine. I guess RMK line is hoping for that to be the case, provided the teams are in LCS order, so it may not be RMK line as the jungler. I'm not entirely sure which player.
I cannot remember for the life of me of who was where.
It was Raphael Natalie
Yeah.
who was jungling.
Yes,
time.
Raphael Natalie was jungling, and Artist Pain was the AD carry, and Divine TJ was the support. But I don't remember where Arm Klein was. I don't remember if he was the mid or the jungler.
And that's going to be the Aurelia locked in for Dragon Slayer 7, who's already proven himself to be a proficient top laner. It's a proficient solo laner. So Aurelia, a pretty darn strong laning champion, could be a powerful tool in Dragon Slayer's hands.
Have to see what Boy If You Don't responds with. They have a number of options, and they're gonna go with the Gnar, it looks like.
Gnar is...
Or not.
I like Trundle better.
I do like Trundle better. Gnar is a very, very risky pick into something as mobile as Aurelia. You get stun up Gnar, and you can burst him before he can mega Gnar up.
Also, like, Shen is a good pick too, actually, I think. The play pattern of a Gnar just doesn't lend itself to the play pattern of Aurelia in lane. Whereas with Gnar, in mini Gnar, you want to be poking the opponent. You want to get that range versus melee matchup benefit. And Aurelia is happy to take a little bit of poke and then engage on you while you're at like half Gnar bars, so that you don't get the benefit of the tankiness in the melee situation when Aurelia is dashing onto your face. and the damage that you dealt to her is not going to be nearly enough to match up to the burst that she'll output.
Especially once she acquires the Sheen, which further increases her
Oh, yeah.
burst damage. Because
So
I've been on the receiving end of a Sheen Dipper Aurelia many times when playing either Aatrox or Vladimir, and it's
oh,
just not comfortable.
Aatrox is not even a champion when it comes to an Aurelia lane, but I don't think we'll be seeing that particular champ tonight, however much it pains me to always have to say it. It is a Shen going up against Dragon Slayer's Aurelia, and we do probably have a bit of focus in the top lane here as Dragon Slayer put up a good performance the last time we saw him. But I'm also going to be keeping an eye pretty closely on mid, as RM Klein and Hyun Myoji got two of the more meta mid laners right now, and Hyun Myoji did a fantastic job snowballing his lead on LeBlanc when we saw him a few games ago. So I just am interested to see what he can do with the Azir pick, which is a lane bully in its own right.
Absolutely. A little bit different style of play once you enter team fights, but looking forward to what he's going to do with it. I don't think we ever actually didn't talk about Link, who has picked the Ezreal as well, so lots of poke coming out of him.
Yeah, the bottom lane doesn't look like it'll be all that exciting this game, as neither side is really all that high damage in lane. They both have pretty good engage, honestly. Sivir Karma, of course, can speed forwards like nobody's business, and with Tempered Fate, Tempo Crow can make some engage plays happen potentially, but honestly, I'm
The
more interested in
only
watching solo lanes here.
Yeah, absolutely. Only thing we can see happening in that bottom lane is when we see interaction coming in from either the junglers or the mids roaming down. That's the only
Yeah,
time I
or
see anything
even
happening.
the top lanes out of teleports or Shen ult or something like that.
Yeah, of course, and of course Shen with that map, lots of map presence with once he gets level 6.
Uh,
Alrighty, we have ended the delay. We've actually talked a bit more than usual there. Of course, this is an interesting matchup. I look forward to seeing what they do with it. We'll be taking a small commercial break. And here we are into our first match of the finals with Wizard, yes. 420 help me, and boy, if you don't.
420 help me on the blue side for this first game of the night, and boy, if you don't, on the red. And yeah, I'm excited to see what we get from these two teams. Both rather fresh face to the league. I don't think I've seen either of them over the few weeks that I've been casting with Reverie here now.
We may have seen 420 before, but I don't recognize this lineup. I think I recognize Hyun, and that's it.
I would not be surprised if you recognize Hyun. This guy's had great performance. Well, we've only seen him once, but he had a great performance on the block. So
It looks like they're gathering up for a level 1, but there is a ward right there. They're pinging it. They know it's there. They want to go... I'm not entirely sure what they want to do with those pings.
they're going to be stepping over the ward, and that gives the information away over to the side of boy if you don't. But it looks like that'll be just about it as another invade kind of fizzles out like we saw last game.
Last game was definitely more interesting, with the both teams invading and neither team finding each other until it was too late.
Raphael Natalie will be starting on the top side with a little bit of help from Vaneland, whereas his opposing number, Sapling Wiz, will start on the bottom side. And we'll see if Tempo Crow goes for the ideal Bard leash this time. Do we get to see it? I want to see it. He does! He gets the stun onto both Krugs.
Very nice.
He has earned his points back.
Plus, actually, that was Demer who did the Bard previous match. Tempo Crow played Bard.
Yeah, okay.
Not Bard, he played Braum. They both start with B. Very different characters, though.
Tempo Crow gains the Bard points that Demer had lost, as Artist Pain takes a little bit of a chunk there.
They are getting pushed in, though. They don't have the AoE just yet.
Nice sidestep from Tempo Crow. Very nice. When you have that short range away from the Karma, it's very difficult to sidestep it, as you can't really do it reactively. Tempo Crow going to go below 100 hit points there, though, in that trade.
See Artist Pain and Divine TJ putting a lot of pressure into that bottom lane.
And you can tell there's a lot of knowledge about how to play this matchup on both sides. Tempo Crow is going to get caught off, though, from his AD carry. A little bit of a step too far forward is going to cost them 2 summoners.
Ooh.
Artist Pain is going to burn his heal perhaps a little preemptively there. Could have held on to it, but I think it was the right call to pop it.
Better safe than giving first blood when you're a level ahead.
Tempo Crow still has Ignite. If he had been able to get in range in the next few moments to Ignite and Auto, and maybe even Q as well, he could have been bursted down, so...
Definitely
That is 2 summoners for 1, though, as Tempo Crow lost his flash.
Tempo Crow is... Well, it looks like he's picking up chimes, I imagine, while he regens. He's actually back to full health at this point.
And importantly as well, the chimes did give some mana back, and Artist Pain is going to get ignited here, and this is that aggressive summoner spell paying off big time. First blood going over to Link, as Divine TJ is going to try and finish off the kill onto the Ezreal. May pay for it dearly, though, if he continues this chase. A Q flies out. Tempo Crow is body blocking as best he can so that Soul Flare could not find its mark. Divine TJ does get the kill, but he will surely fall here to the Bard autos, and it's a 2-for-1 trade.
Well, that was exciting, more exciting than I thought it would be.
And Hyun got a 1v1 kill. We didn't even get to see most of it, but Hyun got the 1v1 kill into RMK line.
Oh boy, I have to make a minor correction. I've stangled similar names. Okay, the tag is fixed for red team. I apologize.
Oh man, that was a bottom lane fight that was incredibly enjoyable to watch. Every single resource was used. Both sides played it to the very edge of the fight.
I did like...
That's when you get the most exciting fights.
Absolutely. I did like how Tempo Crow was body blocking for such a long time, and it
yeah.
forced Divine TJ's flash in order for him to get that kill.
And because of that, he was able to get the kill thereafter, because had Divine TJ had his flash to get away after getting the kill, Tempo Crow would not have been able to finish it off. So every single thing mattered in that fight. And those are the best fights in League of Legends, when every little decision makes a difference.
Absolutely. See, Dragonslayer's actually struggled a little bit against Vaneland's Shen.
It's struggling in terms of health, but not so far in terms of CS. Perhaps with a little bit of help from the jungler, he could even turn this around, as Aurelia does do some deceptively powerful damage even when behind on hit points, especially when behind on hit points.
Absolutely. Just when you think you have the fight won, you get stunned, and then all your health disappears, and you're like, what just happened? Ooh, we see a
Sapling
gank
was
in the
down
bot
on
lane.
both side. Nice spell shield from Artist Pain. And Sapling was not going to be able to follow up any further, as Raphael is going to force Hyun back in the mid lane, but Hyun is already far enough back that it won't be any more than just a few hundred hit points lost. Well, I say just, that's pretty big. Potentially.
Hyun might be in trouble here. No.
Depends on whether or not Raphael can sniff out another gank here. And it looks like he might. As we look in the minimap there. Nice binding. Artist Pain is going to spell shield one half of the stun, but the other half still lands on the Divine TJ. As Link is now getting bound up himself. There's the Mantra Soul Flare. Tempo Crow taking a big chunk of damage off that. Boomerang Blade flies out. Both the initial throw and the return hitting Tempo Crow, who takes a pretty large chunk of damage from that trade.
Absolutely. You see the advantage of Bud's team here is that they do have a way more wave clear through Sivir and Karma. Though I imagine with Karma it's just more of a side effect of trying to poke.
That is rather true, actually. Which is why it's a bit surprising that the lane is even here in the lane. I think it's just a product of all of the skirmishing we've seen in the lane that we anticipated being most quiet in Champion Select. So,
And it's been anything but quiet in these past few minutes.
Yeah. And I am hugely appreciative of it. I love seeing a well-played duo skirmish, and we've seen a good few of those at this point. Nothing being wasted by either side.
We do see that both top laners haven't had the opportunity to back. We see Sapling coming for a gank.
Yeah, Dragon Slayer is getting some assistance here from Sapling Wiz, who flashes away.
That was a curious choice to flash that. I don't think he needed to do that.
Dragon Slayer may have been able to get next to him with some fancy footwork through the minion wave with Equilibrium Strike, or pardon me, Blade Surge. But I don't think Equilibrium Strike would have stunned in that situation. It would have just slowed.
It would have just slowed him. It definitely would not have stunned him.
Yeah.
And he's fairly tanky. He has the Bambi Cinder already.
Yeah, a preemptive flash there. As RMK line is going to get bursted by Hyun Myoji.
Not quite respecting the range of Shifting Sands there.
Yeah, Sapling was just waiting in the wings, but he didn't even need him. Shifting Sands plus a Soldier Auto is enough, and he finished off the kill. I suppose also plus Thunderlords, but you got to assume that that's going to be coming through.
Huh.
Oh, man. RMK line's having a rough mid lane.
Absolutely. You see that Vaneland was winning those trades, but he is now fairly hot behind in CS here. He's only 8 before, but now he misses the Shadow Dash.
Yeah. Soul's Spirit's Refuge, pardon me. Spirit's Respite? Refuge? One of those? The AoE taunt from Vaneland. Doing some good work in the trades with Dragon Slayer. That's one of the reasons why I was okay with the Shen pick into Aurelia, because that is such a powerful tool. But
so one of the few things that can stop an Aurelia auto.
Mm-hmm. Tempo Crow gonna be able to zoom his way out of there with the speed buff off a shrine, and it looks like Raphael Natalie's first, well, I suppose second real attempt at a gank this game, because he was in the mid lane for a short visit, is foiled.
He's definitely looking for ganks, but he's not having a whole lot of luck.
And Vaneland looks to win the trade here, but Dragon Slayer is going to wait for that Soul's Respite to go down and flash in for the final auto to get that kill. Vaneland bites off way more than he can chew.
Absolutely. We see that Dragon Slayer, instead of going for the Sheen, is going for a Stinger, it looks like, for the attack speed.
Fine, TJ manages to bully away Tempo Crow. Missing his flash is not going to be quite up to par should another skirmish break out. But we do have Hecarim in, and in a 3v2, they can certainly take this on. A nice two-man Hecarim ulti is going to be fearing both members of the enemy bottom lane away. Meanwhile, Dragon Slayer is getting chased under the turret. Raphael Natalie will get a kill on the top side. That'll do a lot to catapult that Kha'Zix forwards. And Sapling Wiz doesn't actually get any kills confirmed on the bottom side as Divine TJ just about escapes with barely any health.
He was very, very close, but the speed boost coming out of that bot lane allowed him to get away from the horse.
Mm-hmm. They outran the Hecarim, which is not a case you often see.
And things are calming down a little bit. We do see, farming the mid lane, we do see Vaneland has pushed the wave up to the turret. That's actually a pretty big wave to lose. But Dragon Slayer has purchased both a Stinger and a Sheen, so that's going to be a fairly large amount of damage coming out of him.
RMK line is going to get knocked backwards by that Emperor's Divide. He's going to flash away. Hyun Myoji is desperately going for this kill. Tempo Crow will finally be able to finish it off with a magical journey over the wall, but that is a kill cleanup for Raphael Natalie and a kill into the pocket of RMK line, who needed it pretty desperately himself.
You did see that Raphael Natalie did evolve his Q first, so that's got an enormous amount of burst damage coming out of his ability to single out targets there, assuming they're not.
And good percentage damage onto an objective like this dragon as well. It's going to allow him to burn down the Volcanic Drake really quickly. He's got just enough mana for another few Q casts here. Link is looking for the steal, but he doesn't have ulti available, and without that, it's a bit of a long shot. Smite didn't actually quite secure it. The auto attack took it because Raphael Natalie's Smite wasn't actually up. But still, it is going to be going over to the side of Boy If You Don't. As Mainline is going to be shadow dashing backwards. Sapling Wiz is here to continue to lay on the Pain top side. But Dragon Slayer won't quite get the kill, as he has to back out from a turret dive that went a little bit too far.
It is lucky for him that he managed to escape. He is fairly behind. He doesn't have all the items he wants right now. He's still working towards that Sunfire. Bot lane's still relatively even. A curious choice
on
to...
the hunt popped. There's a teleport coming to the bottom side, though. This is Dragon Slayer moving in for the fight. Or perhaps not, as the teleport gets canceled out. Interesting.
Maybe it was an accidental fat finger. That's all I can think of.
Possibly. It seems also like that Sivir ulti may have been an accidental fat finger. It's a few mistakes too many for me to believe that it was all an accident. Potentially it was just they popped on the hunt, and that triggered Dragon Slayer to be like, oh, there's a fight. I need to teleport in. But then there wasn't a fight, because Artist Pain and Divine TJ didn't actually want to fight there. It was the ultimate mind game.
Absolutely. Ooh,
Nice
Link taking a nice mode. He wanted to get in there and do some damage, but the... what do they call that ability? His Q. I've forgotten Karma's Q now. Soul Flare, that's it. Yeah. Did a lot of damage to... Ooh, Klein is...
Every time this ult is up, formulaically goes in on the RMK line, and he gets the kill pretty much every time. There it is. Shadow Dash forward from Vayne Land, though. He comes in off of the Stand United, and he manages to clean up a kill for his fallen mid laner, and Sapling Wiz is going to go down as well, as Raphael Natalie is on a killing spree. This Kha'Zix has been in the right place at the right time, a few times too many now for it to be all coincidence.
Absolutely. He's definitely having lots of map presence. He's now 3-0.
The Warrior Enchant completed and a few more longswords. He's started his longsword collection out right with a longsword. That's how you start one. And
look at all these swords. I can't even hold them all.
he's probably going to stack a few more. I mean, they're really, really efficient. He's going to get a lot of mid-game damage out of it. And honestly, they could carry their way forward on the back of this Kha'Zix. Artist Pain is going dangerously low, though, as the Azrael ult connects. A nice two-man Bard ulti is going to chain right into a stun. Tempo Crow taking home the kill. The Ignite now in Divine TJ. There's the heal, and it looks like they'll be able to burn down the Karma before Link gets to any sort of dangerous health pool. He did have to pop the heal. It's a little unfortunate, but that's all right. 2 kills for none.
Very, very nice.
Yeah. What?
No, it was good for them. It was a nice little engage they had going on.
2 ships in the night. Well, maybe not quite, as Dragon Slayer actually did do a little bit of damage to Vayne Land, but he didn't actually want the fight. He just wanted to get to the minion wave faster.
It's like, all these minions need the gold.
He used his opponent his opposing laner as a way to get to minions, rather than the other way around. I think it's one of the few times I've seen that on an Aurelia.
Well, very good little presence of mind there to remember that minions are often worth more than the champions themselves.
Yeah, it's not bad. He's making a lot of money off of it. He's got a darn good CS lead, approaching the 30 CS mark now. My math is right.
It's actually very interesting that Raphael Natalie is doing so well here. It's not often brought up, but his evolved Q, the Taste Their Fear, it has the highest bonus AD of almost any ability in the game.
Oh, Raphael Natalie's going to be leaping over the wall there.
So his ability to burst is going to be extremely high, assuming that the targets are isolated.
And that is one of the reasons why you'll see Kha'Zix just run rampant in the mid game if he gets a decent enough early game. And I'd say 3-0 is decent enough. Just a matter of the rest of the team sort of falling around him in some ways. Bottom lane is now sitting 1-4 respectively. They've put up some really good fights in the specific fights, but oh my god, Sapling Wiz.
RM Klein is just not having a fun time at all.
It's been formulaic, honestly. I think I said it last time. Every time Hyunmoji's ult is up, he goes in. RMK Line has to respect that a lot more. Play back, roam, do something. Dragon Slayer in the 1v1 with Vayne Land may not actually win it, as Vayne Land is getting those percentage chunking auto attacks, but Dragon Slayer, he has the burst off of the instant cast abilities. Artist Pain now in essentially a 1v2 while his support is in stasis, but it doesn't matter. The damage had already been done, and that's a double kill to Artist Pain.
Returning the favor from the double kill where they got earlier.
Yeah, bring the bottom lane back to the forefront here. Oh, and Hyunmoji going in onto Raphael Natalie. If they can shut down this Kha'Zix, it'll go a long way towards letting them snowball into the mid-game. And Sapling Wiz seems to know this. He's diving into the turret, but he may go down in the 1-for-1. Looks like that's going to be what's happening.
A little bit in favor for them, but they did get the assist as well. But still, quite the dive.
And once again, I think maybe the unsung hero of this game is Hyun Myoji, who's been consistently outperforming his opposition here. RMK Line is getting bullied back again. He's going to be coming forwards, actually. He's got the Chaos Throw. He thinks because of the ult differential, maybe he can take this fight, but he is simply wrong. Hyun Myoji gets the kill and even taunts over the corpse of his fallen opponent.
That's rough. A little bit of possible tilting coming out of RM Klein since he's been having such a hard time.
Hyun Myoji has the secondary combat summon as well, so even though there was the ult differential, I think the heal being up as opposed to like a Ghost or Flash is more valuable in the 1v1, so it was just overconfidence from RMK Line, or maybe desperation, probably the latter, because I don't think he's got very many reasons to be overconfident in this game. And the mid lane is really starting to hurt here.
So this is going to be definitely going to be trouble if they can't figure out how to stem the tide of the Azir. And Valen's also not having a fun time at all.
Oh, okay. The flash for damage there at the end from Dragon Slayer 7, but you know, we can forgive a small mistake when it comes next to a pile of 300 gold. And there's Hyun Myoji in with the ult again, but this time not quite landing it. The formula not going to plan.
Alrighty.
You know,
things are slowing down a little bit here.
Aurelia is one of like 3 champions in the game that can heal off of turrets.
It's her, Zhao, and who's the third?
Oh, dang it. There's one other, and it's not coming to mind. God, there's so many champions in the game now. There's 130 or something like that.
It's hard to keep track of them all.
Sapling Wizard is waiting around the corner, though, and there's a magical journey. Tempo Crow's going to land the slow there. The flash burned. Link now in the 1v1 with Artist Pain. Artist Pain is going to come out on top there.
That actually looks like it hurt a lot.
Yeah, Link has not built into as aggressive items early. Ooh, there's that mid-game Kazakh damage you were talking about. We were both talking about.
Absolutely. Getting out of there nice and quick. It's like, nope, don't want any of that.
Better duck. The enemy never takes that advice when I play Sever. Never. You know, I tell them so friendly every time, but they never do. They always get hit by the boomerang.
We do see that Raphael Natalie is securing that dragon solo. He's very easily able to do that now.
Artist Pain is going to get caught up by that Bard ulti. The exhaust on the Sapling Wiz is going to time that out while in stasis. And Artist Pain is going to get bursted even through the Stand United shield, which you saw there for maybe half a second before it disappeared. Raphael Natalie down the bottom side of the map is going to look to play arbitrage here and clean up after this horrible war crime that the enemy exacted on his bottom lane. But he's just going to fall himself. And maybe a dive even onto Divine TJ could work out for them. But this may be a bit overconfident, but the Ignite is there and the damage is there. Link will take the kill onto the Karma. Meanwhile, a 1v1 in the mid lane as Hyun Myoji is going to be dashing in, and there's the ulti, and they trade, actually. A better result than the usual one for RMK Line.
Absolutely. He was able to take advantage of Hyun being fairly low from his encounter with Raphael Natalie, but it still ended up in an equal trade, which is not a good sign.
Not particularly, no.
We do see that that Hyun has managed to secure a Rylai's for himself as well, so he's able to have that utility of the slow.
Dragon Slayer's teleport is available once again, since that last time we saw him cancel it, moving towards the bottom side of the map. I'm really interested to see where they move Dragon Slayer here, because 420 has a powerhouse right now on the top lane. The Trinity Force has just been completed. Aurelia is sitting at basically her most powerful, potent spike in the game that she will hit during the course of any match. And I want to see them exercise that power. I want to see them teleport the Aurelia to the bottom side of the map, have her roam mid, something.
Dragon Slayer doesn't seem like he wants to roam too often, though. I noticed that in the previous match he sat in top lane for a very long time.
Maybe he finds Raphael Natalie here, though. Crab going to be secured.
That's kind of dangerous if he doesn't have support. So he was 4-2 with lots of AD.
Oh, there's the dash in, there's the ulti, and the flash away. He's going to give this kill over to Dragon Slayer, who is there to clean it up. There's the roam to the mid lane, right on cue. Hyun Myoji now going to be popping his heal to try and escape from what was potentially a dangerous situation in the enemy jungle. Pays a summoner in the end for the kill onto the enemy mid laner, and now onto the enemy jungle as well.
Raphael Natalie got stunned up and evaporated, is the word I can think of.
Yeah.
That Thunderlord's proc coming out on top of the shifting sands. Artist Pain also
man.
taking a lot of damage
That
there.
is some intense damage from Hyun Myoji, who also hasn't roamed out of the solo lane. Neither of these solo laners have roamed, and we're now seeing the impact of them as they come into these skirmishes, into these mid-game fights. A double kill going over to the jungler.
Absolutely. Looks like same as their previous match with 420 Help Me. Their solo laners are taking commanding leads, and the only even match we've had here is in the bot lane.
And they seem to be playing the team fights. They're managing the team fights again. You know, they're playing team fights in a very synergistic manner. They're playing around one another. They're playing around the enemy burst for the most part, but not right there as RM Klein gets the kill. Now Link is caught out on the bottom side, and maybe I speak too soon. Actually, he gets the kill back onto Raphael Natalie. That's got to feel bad.
Thank you, Iceborne Gauntlet armor.
Oh, yeah. Link is now starting to come into his own as well. I mean, we talked about the Aurelia item spike, but Ezreal's hitting one of his own with that Iceborne Gauntlet and the Man Immune on its way to completing.
Tempo Crow getting a nice stun to lock up.
Again. Yeah.
Lots of evaporation going around here.
Well, it is the summer. And I do personally live in Texas. It was 101 degrees today.
It has been fairly toasty recently in Texas.
That is so dumb. I don't like it. Make it stop. Enemy blue buff going to be taken away here. Most likely gifted over to Link.
It does
even more stacking power.
That does make sense. He has completed his Muramana, so he's going to be doing even more damage now.
Oh, man. Muramana completed at like 21, 22 minutes is right on schedule. And the Blade of the Ruined King Trinity Force completion for Dragon Slayer 7 is, if anything, ahead of schedule. This is a scary, scary Aurelia, who is still sitting on that teleport, so there's still mobile mobility, but doesn't need to burn it to find Raphael in the jungle. Wow.
Able to burst him.
Of the stun.
That hurts like it hurt. So at that note, it looks like Raphael might need to build some HP and some armor.
But those aren't things you want to build in Kha'Zix. It's the intractable problem of playing a Kha'Zix jungle, and that's why I said it was a little bit risky to be picking the Kha'Zix in the middle of the pick ban. Honestly, it isn't even to do with the drafts. It's just to be picking the Kha'Zix into a team that you don't have a lot of experience playing against, or maybe on a team you don't have a lot of experience playing with. Kha'Zix requires nurturing.
He wants to be the one doing the surprising, not the one being surprised.
Link has returned to his perennial home, the bottom lane.
Speaking of health and armor, we see that Vaneland has picked up a Rain Winds on top of that Sunfire, so he's getting tanky.
Sapling Wiz has finished off his Trinity Force as well, and you know, items are just all the rage for this team here. There's the Hecarim multi underneath the turret. Dragon Slayer maybe bursted down here as we've got the damage in force from RM Klein. Sapling Wiz diving a bit too aggressively will go down as well, and that's 2 shutdowns going over to RM Klein's Victor. That is some much-needed gold in his pockets.
Little bit of an over-aggressive dive there by 420 Help Me. They did not know where they were on the map, and they just dived right in and ended up getting picked for free.
Meanwhile, on the bottom side, we see an attempted dive from Hyunmyoji, but it's not going to work out nearly as well. Some good damage, though, onto the enemy mid laner. Actually brings him down below half health, and he's going to be diving in onto 3 people, but the exhaust is there. There's the stun as well. Here comes the penalty. Everything was still available. Hyunmyoji against the world, and it turns out the world wins in that particular matchup. Raphael may go down here, though. The Ignite is burning. He's going to go down to Tempo Crow's Bard, but Link will be stunned up and caught out, and he will be going down. Tempo Crow will get to the wall and magically journey his way forwards, but he's still got his problems chasing him down. He did not escape from them that easily. However, Dragon Slayer exercising that teleport is going to come into the fight. It looks like he may be able to clean up another auto attack from Tempo Crow. Actually finishes off the kill into Divine TJ. As Vaneland is going to get dashed onto by the Q from Dragon Slayer. Shadow Dash his way over the wall, and it looks like he'll be able to get out of there just about, unless we see an extended chase.
Oh, it's going to be close.
Yeah, it's cutting it very close for Vaneland. Looks like he's got Shadow Dash available again, but he doesn't. He doesn't dash away, and Dragon Slayer gets the kill.
Seeing that Trinity Force movement speed coming through. That's a very fast Aurelia.
That is a very fast Aurelia.
It's a very scary Aurelia. 7-2 with a 50 CS lead on Vaneland.
He's going to just walk through a turret here to get to the mid lane, the quickest route, even if it takes a few turret shots to get there. And
Working towards what I imagine to be a Guardian Angel as a third item, which is perfectly reasonable on an Aurelia.
420 will look for their first dragon of the game, but Raphael does not want to give that up so easily. He's here to contest. He's going to be leaping in, and he's going to be securing it, actually. We'll see if he can get out as well. I sincerely doubt that.
Does not look likely.
Trampled under Sapling's hooves. Still, though, perfectly fine to trade a kill for a Volcanic Drake.
Absolutely. They needed all the help they can get at that point. And Volcanic Drake is definitely one to do it.
Yeah, Volcanic Drake, especially on a team with a Victor and a Kha'Zix, both champions that benefit greatly from just having extra burst damage.
Speaking of items, we do see that Kha'Zix has picked up Black Cleaver, so he's going to be shredding some armor, and going to be slightly tankier. Not much, but some.
I would be happy to see Sapling Wiz go with that Black Cleaver as well on the other side, because he does repeatedly apply physical damage. Pardon me.
Especially once
with his Q, with Rampage.
Once the Q cooldown gets going, you're able to Q it like every, half a second? I don't know.
Yeah, once you're able to stack up Rampage to a ridiculous degree. Speaking of ridiculousness, though, RM Klein is evaporating himself, and there's a nice Tempered Fate going to be holding up the Karma for a little bit. I think the visual's bugged out there, but she was in stasis. Sapling is caught between a rock and a hard place. The Ninja's going to be securing his fate as the kill goes over to Kha'Zix. The soldier over the wall, though, will discourage 420 from being chased down as Dragon Slayer actually aggressively walks towards this Kha'Zix.
Not afraid of the Kha'Zix at all.
Dragon Slayer, there's the flash forward from Tempo Crew, going to be forcing the flash out of Raphael Natalie.
If it wasn't for that stun, I think Raphael Natalie could have a good chance against Dragon Slayer, but...
That was some fancy footwork right there from Hyun.
Yeah, not interested in being hugged by Raphael Natalie again anytime soon.
I think that was perhaps overly fancy, but it did do the job. Got him to the magical journey, and he instantly took it. That was fun. Artist Payne is going to get slowed up there by a spooky ghost.
Spooky ghost.
We return to quiet on the map here. What's the next move if you're the side of boy if you don't? God, I love their name. So much fun. I get to pretend I'm a sassy black lady every time.
They need to get vision control back and look for picks. They need to find someone by themselves that Raphael Natalie can explode. Because he can, even the Aurelia, if he catches the Aurelia without her stun.
Well, GA completed, I think that might be a bit of a long shot. But
at the very least, they can pop the GA.
The theory, I think, is sound, yeah. But it's definitely difficult to do. They're not exactly
moving separately. Yeah, they're not moving separately. They're moving together. We've noticed multiple times their coordination is extremely high. And speaking of coordination, Vaneland's in trouble here.
Yeah, he does have the Vorpal Blade, but it only slows if the enemy is walking away from you, not towards you. So there's no slow into Dragon Slayer there. Vaneland is going to get a benefit of the shield from Divine TJ. They are keeping this Shen alive at any and all costs. And it looks like they'll be able to just about get him out of there. Meanwhile, we saw an attempt from RM Klein to burst down his opposite number, Hyun Myoji. But it looks like he only just about gets half of the Azir's health. And actually not even the Azir ulti, so that's Victor ulti down. And Emperor's Divide is still available.
Tempo Crow using the Magical Journey to escape. Not quite able to pick up that pink ward. Actually, no, he did get it.
Tempo Crow's been playing a really aggressive Bard, too. I appreciate it. I'm a Bard fan myself.
He's definitely doing quite well. Oh, there's the...
I like to ute in my spare time.
See, Raphael is going to secure that red before himself, doing having all that damage, wanting the extra slow.
Coming up, but it will not snipe anything away. In fact, it was a little bit too far to the left. He was going for the red bow steal.
Maybe he might have been checking... I don't know what he was doing with that. Interesting. Maybe trying to push the top wave? I don't know.
Some really interesting item choices here from Link. He's gone with a Blade of the Ruined King in addition to a Giant Slayer. Some really tank-focused items for an AD carry, and tank-killing focused items, I should say. And yet, there's only the one tank in the opposing team. It's Vaneland, and Vaneland is not doing so hot right now.
Maybe they burst sustain to try and mitigate Kha'Zix's burst? I don't know.
I suppose, but then why wouldn't you go like Bloodthirster or something? Anyways, Dragon Slayer is going to get pulled back into the center of that gravity field as Raphael Natalie will be stunned up in stasis. Now Dragon Slayer on the front lines here is going to be providing a lot of chaos for Link to clean up kills with. And it looks like Shen will manage to turn back one kill as Vaneland picks up Sapling Wiz, but that is a 1 for 2, and the Baron goes over to the side of 420, but they may not be done yet. You
see Dragon Slayer using the TP to get back in.
Yeah. Oh, Dragon Slayer actually wants to chase down Artist Payne here, and I can't blame the guy. Even in a turret dive, I am more than confident that he's able to take this 1v1. The Spell Shield does get played around to a slight degree, and Dragon Slayer will lose his GA. So, to his credit, Artist Payne in the 1v1 gets the GA off Dragon Slayer, which is more than I anticipated, but still. overextending a bit for that massive wave.
Can definitely give some credit to Dragon Slayer for playing around the spell shield to not get the stun off, basically.
Yeah, I think the Blade Surge was eaten by the spell shield, but Dragon Slayer didn't have any more time to buy. He was too low from the turret shots. He had to go in even with the spell shield up, but he could have equilibrium striked first, and he had the discipline not to. So, small kudos as any good Aurelia player against Sivir should be able to do that, but kudos nonetheless.
Absolutely. Do you see Rafa Natalie working towards a GA? Still going to be fairly squishy without some HP, which I don't think he's going to build. Which makes sense. He is an assassin. The days of Bruiser Kazakhs are long gone.
Oh man, and rightfully so. Bruiser Kha'Zix was.
I
So
played it. I'll admit it. It was dumb.
strange. Oh man, just it was all because of that ult too.
Yep.
The passive.
The 50% damage reduction.
while invisible. Yeah. Turns out flat 50% damage reduction, pretty darn good, especially when you can instantly activate it whenever you need it. Pretty much. Oh look, there's a giant ulti coming my way. I'll only take half damage from it, thanks. Vaneland is going to get stunned up against the wall, though. This is like the second or third time that we've seen this Shen go down. This time he's going to be losing a GA as well. This is rough here for Vaneland. He flashes, he dashes, but he still may not live. Sapling Wiz is going to be stunned up there by his own Bard ulti as Link finishes off the kill. Hyunmyoji will be bursted out underneath the enemy inhibitor turret, though. That laser's doing a lot of work. Art is Pain doing the most work that he possibly can as well, but he will be falling. Raphael now trying to clean up a kill. Actually leaps his way into the face of a Hecarim, and he's going to go down.
It looks like the red buff actually burned him down from Link. But he would have he would have he would have died either way. There's no way he was gonna get away from Sapling. And with that might be game one.
Yeah, I'm fairly confident that it will be. Sapling is probably gonna have to get out of that turret range though. There we go. Ghost popped and Yumu's to make sure that he can. Dang, that was a big chunk of damage. Ghost Yumu's plus Hecarim E.
That's a very scary Hecarim. And with that, the GGs are called out. That is game one. Going to 420. Help me.
420. Blazing their way to victory, if you don't mind the terrible joke. Terrible, obvious joke. But yeah, that is game one of three here in our finals of the night at Reverie Esports. If you guys are enjoying them, please do stick around as we'll be getting to game two very shortly.
Let's rejoin the lobby. Let's recopy the code. Got it. There we go. Don't take this opportunity to change the acronyms around. This time I won't mess it up. Bud, not BBO. This time 420 Help Me will be on the red side, and BBO will be on the blue side. Alrighty. Looks like everybody is joining the lobby nice and slowly. I'm actually going to take this opportunity to take a tiny break and go to the bathroom. I'm going to turn on some music and we'll be back shortly. Or I will turn on some music if my browser stops freezing. Hold on. Well, that's awkward. I can't click on my... Why is it frozen? I'll have to open up a different browser, I think. There we go. Got it. Fixed. I'll be back shortly. Just a couple minutes. Looks like everybody is in the lobby. And here we are. We're into Champion Select of the second game, possibly the last game of the finals.
Yeah, very possibly if we see another performance from 420 Help Me like that. Though there were, of course, glimmers of hope from Boy If You Don't. The solo lanes were, I think, where the points where we saw the most contention, where we need to see some things fixed.
Absolutely. We see that Dragon Slayer and Myoji are just a level above, for the moment, above Arm Klein and Vaneland. And they might need some jungle assistance to even those out a little bit. But
Hardban this time on the side of Boy If You Don't, as opposed to 420 Helmet.
we do see the Hecarim band, the respect Hecarim band for Sapling. He had such a strong performance.
And I expect to see a Vladimir ban at some point, but if not, then perhaps a Vladimir pick, as I think he's had 100% pick ban tonight and last week and the week before that, and you know how that goes.
Yeah, I'm not too surprised. They also do respect Aurelia band. That leaves the cannon open.
Yeah, it does. I don't really think that target banning Dragon Slayer is the right idea. I think maybe swapping him, lane swap against Dragon Slayer if you're so scared of the solo top lane, then put him into a situation where he just really can't go off. Where
Absolutely.
he can't go for the 1v1 kills because he seems to love those, so don't let him have them.
It makes sense to me, but often at this level of play, we don't see a whole lot of lane swaps, unfortunately.
Oh, no Vladimir ban. All right, that's certainly a pick that's to be looked out for. That and I think Kennen for Dragon Slayer 7, if he wants to return to that form.
Very interesting choice of bans here. There's a targeted Victor
Ooh.
ban. Ooh.
All right, so the Aurelia is banned out, the Kennen is picked away, but I don't know. I imagine Dragon Slayer has a few more champions that he can bring to bear here.
Absolutely. And they're going to hover the Cassidon, which we don't see very often.
Especially not as a first pick in the draft. That would be strange. That would be a signal of confidence from 420. First picking a Cassidon mid lane with only 1 out of 5 enemy champs picked up. Like, it would be so incredibly easy to counterpick that lane. Cassiopeia's in a similar boat. Either one of these picks.
So there's a number of options they go for. I'm kind of curious that they're going for a mid lane pick that could be possibly countered very easily.
Mm-hmm. Like, the safest thing to do here is to pick your jungler and your support, or to pick your support and AD carry, your bottom lane duo. Pardon me.
Absolutely. The link
jungler
said
and support though looks like maybe that's what they're going for.
that does make more sense to me. Braum is of course a very safe pick, and it has good synergy with a number of champions. And they're going to take away the Ezreal as well.
Yeah. Link did a great job on Ezreal last game. Nothing too spectacular, nothing too terrible. And Divine TJ seems to be comfortable in this Taric, so I wouldn't be surprised if they grab that. And of course, going for their bottom lane duo is pretty safe to do just in terms of the draft right now anyways. Doesn't give too much away.
Absolutely. I didn't get a chance to mention it, but in the 420 Help Me, they did ban Victor, even though Hyunmoji had such a strong game against Armklein's Victor.
Pardon me.
And they did ban Sivir as well. That was a respect ban to Artist Pain. He did have a decent game on Sivir. And
Neither side going for the Vladimir pick yet.
He is hovering the Gangplank, which is interesting.
Do we see a game of League of Legends in Season 6 after the Mage update that doesn't involve a Vladimir? It's like spotting a unicorn.
It's a very, very big unicorn, too.
Gangplank
is locked down.
It's right in Dragon Slayer's wheelhouse, I think.
I do think that does match up nicely. It does give him a number of options. Of course, Gangplank can do a very huge amount of damage, even after some of his nerfs.
Dragon Slayer seems to be something of a lane-dominant player, and Gangplank is a champion that can benefit quite a bit from having won a lane. So if Dragon Slayer is able to pull through to a one lane, get a victory in the lane, he will be quite powerful on that GP. Kennen's not an easy matchup, though, honestly, for Gangplank. Kennen's lane bully, a powerful one in his own right. We'll see whether or not Vaneland can match up here.
Rafa Natalie kind of hovering on some picks. Hovering on the Warwick, which I don't think is likely, not with a GP.
I don't think it's likely with a GP or with a Bard or with a Gragas or with any potential champion that the enemy could pick. Why would you pick Warwick? I see no reason. I honestly don't see a reason ever unless his numbers are straight up overtuned, which is the problem with Warwick. It's the problem with the kit that he has. It's why he's being reworked at some point.
Absolutely. Man, I haven't seen a Warwick picked in a setting like this since it's been a long time. I've
Yeah, the
forgotten.
last time Warwick was meta was when Warwick was straight up too strong. When Devourer, I think the first iteration of Devourer came out, and Warwick just was too good with it. His ulti would proc multiple procs off Devourer. You could get the Skirmisher smite on them as well and just do some massive amounts of damage. All basically point and click. But unless it's that sort of binary situation where the Warwick just kills you instantly and there's no counterplay, then Warwick isn't good. And
Absolutely.
that really speaks to the problem with the chat. I mean, the problem with the kit, not the chat. I was reading the chat at the time. Freudian slip. Oh, the Warwick cover. Respect.
So I have seen. Let me trying to think here. It was back when Darian was still playing. He played a top lane Warwick and actually managed to draw a ban with it.
Yes, but
That was a long time ago.
Warwick is also a playable champion if there is a massive skill discrepancy between you and the opponent you're playing against. And
It's
in
true.
Darian's case, that is often the case. Hyun Miyoji is going to go back into that LeBlanc, though. Looks like 420 is just going back to their wheelhouse here. I mean, we haven't actually seen Dragon Slayer play Gangplank before, but I imagine it's a champion that he's very comfortable on. The play style seems to
Judging from
fit.
his playstyle, it is a character that seems to fit very well into what he wants to do.
I'm a little bit worried about Hyun Miyoji weathering the laning phase. He's not against as easy a matchup in terms of laning anymore. Last time he was in the ranged versus melee, and he was the ranged. Now Arm Klein on Azir is going to have a lot more laning potency than a Zed did. But Hyun Miyoji has already shown that he is perfectly capable on LeBlanc. He's perfectly capable in mid lane in general. So I think we're down for a great game 2 here.
Absolutely. Let's see if boy if you don't can do a nice little reverse sweep here. Alrighty. Hun Maji is how his name is pronounced.
Han Maji, all right, thank you very much. I will keep that in mind.
Dang old names not being pronounced how they're spelled.
That is what foreign languages do sometimes. It's what English does very often as well.
Stupid foreign
Don't be
languages, stupid
complaining.
English.
Don't be complaining.
English is dumb.
All right. Well, we do have a few minutes of the delay counting down. Perhaps we'll get a few more Korean lessons in there at some point tonight. But I
Absolutely.
think we'll have to wait until we get onto the Rift.
Yeah, we'll be taking a very small, short break. And here we are, jumping into the second match of the finals. Possibly the last match if we see a repeat.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to put money on it, I would say that there's a darn good chance that this is going to be the last match if we don't see any difference in play from Boy If You Don't. 420 Help Me did a great job taking apart that last game. They had a few rough spots here and there, mainly from over-aggression, from overconfidence. But those are the sort of rough spots that are easily patched over with just a little bit more discipline and attention to detail.
Well, we're seeing a little invade going on here, but there is a war. They do know they are there.
However, 420 doesn't know that their opposition knows that they know that everyone knows.
And they walk into an Ezreal kill. They know they have been spotted. They're going to go and back out.
And again, another invade fizzles out. No level 1 action yet.
And it might be a while before we see a level 1 action that results in anything more significant.
We got one more chance at it. One more chance. Provided, of course, that Boy If You Don't can carry it through to a victory here in this game.
Absolutely. They need to get around the gap in skill in their solo lanes, which just seems to be what some of their problems are.
I just realized something. This is our first non-bard game.
How
No
does
utes, no chimes.
we do get to see the fabulous Tarek though.
Yes, we do. Pool Party Tarek makes up for the lack of bard, I guess. And we still get to see whether or not Divine TJ can optimally leash for his jungler. Or perhaps we don't. As the Dazzle can also stun both the Krugs. I don't know. Maybe it's something I shouldn't put so much emphasis on. Hyunmoji. That's what we're saying now, right?
Let me double check.
Hyunmoji?
I need to double check. It's
Hyun. I'm going to call him Hyun for now until we get confirmation.
Hanmaji.
Hanmaji.
I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Hanmaji.
Probably not, but it's okay. Hanmaji is already landing some trades here into RM Klein. As we saw earlier on in that one going against a Zed that he had, he's a very aggressive lane LeBlanc player.
Absolutely. He's definitely not afraid to get in nice and dirty there. Dragon Slayer taking some poke there. Vaneland returning the favor from the previous match. Though he is getting poked himself, eating some of that minion damage.
Tempo Crow playing up here. As it looks like they want to actually go for a fight. Tempo Crow going to get dazzled. And that's going to be about it for that action. Nice auto attack timing from Vaneland. Stops that explosive barrel chain.
So Vaneland definitely not wanting to have a repeat of the previous match.
Yeah, Vaneland is contesting this top lane much better in just the first few minutes. Though, I mean, he did a good job of contesting the first few minutes to begin with. It was really after both top lanes were able to go back and buy an item or two, like a piece of an item or two, I should say, as no one completed an item that quickly, that Dragon Slayer started to pull ahead. And I think in a few minutes we may get our answer as to whether or not Vaneland is able to hold his own in this matchup.
And speaking of holding his own, we see Armcline is having a significantly better gain. He's at full health, whereas Hanamaji is only at half health.
Mm.
Had to stop myself to pronounce his name correctly because I almost did it wrong again.
Yeah, you'll get all sorts of names doing this sort of thing. Oh man, you don't want to know half the names I've seen. Nice barrel chain from Dragon Slayer. A little bit clever. A little bit more clever than the last one, which is just a barrel next to another barrel.
Absolutely. This is a significantly slower game. Our Armcline is getting snared up, but he is returning that damage, popping that LeBlanc passive.
Yeah, Armcline is doing a much better job in the laning phase this time. He's holding even in CS. He's winning a lot of these trades. Not only not losing them, but also winning them.
And we do see a possible surprise gank from Raphael.
He's waiting around the corner. But he did not have the tremor sense to spot where Hanmoji was.
Didn't quite know. Otherwise, he definitely could have at least forced a flash, possibly.
Yeah, or even just disrupted the base for a little bit. But he is going to find Sapling Wiz here. We'll see which one comes out on top of the 1v1. It looks like Sapling Wiz doesn't want to actually find out. And he's going to waddle his way out of there on his little Gragas legs.
There are pings. They do know that he is near top lane.
This is nearly as much action on the bottom side of the map this match.
Absolutely. Both teams not interested in seeing who can come out ahead here this time around.
I think it's because we've got two melee supports instead of two ranged ones. Divine TJ and Tempo Crow were the ones often starting the fights, and now that fights have to be committed to a lot harder, they're less likely to start them, I guess.
That makes a lot of sense to me. CS-wise, though, we do see that Link is taking the advantage. It is, of course, made it a little easier to farm initially.
And that's just because of the nature of Tristana. Going to be shoving that wave in, and you got to always consider the fact that Link probably has just a wave's worth more of minions to have farmed at this point, because Explosive Shot keeps perma-shoving towards the enemy.
Absolutely. Oh, does miss one there, though.
Yeah. And there's enough of a discrepancy that I think some of it is going to stick, but most of it might dissipate as these minion waves hit the turrets. Provided, of course, that Divine TJ and Artist Pain have the synergy to be able to farm well under the turret, but they seem proficient enough to accomplish that, for sure.
Absolutely. Ooh. Hun actually managed to get some damage there, but...
Yeah, RM Klein is going to be answered back to, though. This mid lane is much more of a contest than it was the last time around, though, which is very good for RM Klein.
So we actually see that Dragon Sword's actually had the opportunity to back. He has a Sheen, he has a longsword. And Vaneland hasn't backed yet, so he's still sitting on that Doran's Blade.
Oh, RM Klein is going to get bursted out here. The exhaust coming down into Hunmoji. The ignite, though, returned. And then auto attacker, too. There's flash for flash, and there's the Sigil of Malice, but it doesn't get the kill. Another 20 damage would have done it. But the potion was running, and RM Klein will get out of there with his life.
Very, very close. Slight misplay that almost ended in his life ending. Just wasn't able to quite get the damage onto Hunt there.
You got to feel for Hunmoji there, because he played that fight just... RM Klein played it well, but just a little bit too slow. His exhaust came down late, so it didn't block out the distortion damage, which is the biggest chunk of damage in a low-level fight against a LeBlanc, because that's what she's going to be maxing first. And that cost him quite a bit, but here's the level 6 mark. LeBlanc going to be coming in, but not quite getting the kill with the secondary distortion, the mimicked one. And it looks like the presence of a jungler will chase her back.
Yeah, so it looks like both mid laners are going to back now. So while they're definitely doing better, it looks like the side of... God, I've forgotten their name. 420 Help Me still has the advantage.
Mm-hmm. Not too terribly surprising. 420 Help Me did have a pretty decisive victory last match, but the fact that it's only a 500, gold difference is looking really good for a team that was much further behind last game.
Absolutely. See, Vaneland has decided to get the needlessly large rod, so going for some big AP.
He's actually opting into this fight here. He gave up a minion or two to go for this fight, and it looks like it may be worth it if he can get that kill. Raphael Natalie now going to be going down as the first blood. Goes just in time to the Kennen top lane.
That was pretty close. I couldn't actually tell.
Oh, man. Vaneland does pick up the first blood in a lane that he was desperately behind on last game. So, huge props to Vaneland for bringing it all the way back around. And now getting that first blood in a situation that looked dire last match.
Absolutely. You see that Raphael is going to go ahead and use his ult to get across the map and take the Krugs.
Yeah, and we did also see Raphael get caught out there. We didn't have as much time to talk about it because it was going down at the same time as the solo fight topside. I'm not entirely sure what led to that catch, but that is a 1-for-1 now on the map between these two teams. And
very, very slight,
slower, more considered game.
Absolutely. It's very slight, slow. Shun going in again. He's not afraid, no matter what, to dive in.
And that is the way that you sort of build an advantage as LeBlanc, because especially against Azir, you're never going to outpoke him over time. You have to condense the time scale of the lane and get it down to the point where repeated instant trades are going in your favor over and over again. But that's perhaps a strange phrase. By condense the time scale, I mean not allow the lane to go really long, not allow Azir to get lots of little trades against you, but instead make all the trades happen quick and fast.
Absolutely, and Hun is not quite able to get the trade he wanted there. He did get attacked by all three soldiers there. And his passive is force and pop.
It's really like critical for him that everything lands. Because if everything lands, he'll outdo RM Klein in these trades. But if even just a sigil gets misclicked onto a minion like we've seen before, or a distortion that's more likely doesn't connect, or even a chains doesn't land, in some matchups that's fine, and you're still going to have the dominance in the lane. But against an Azir, it's simply not going to work out as well for you.
Absolutely. If there's any level of competence, it could end up badly. See, that they are still pushing into that bot lane. There is a
Yeah,
gank
Sapling
in the
is up on
top
top
lane.
side. They're looking to shut down Vaneland, but Vaneland may be able to get another kill into Dragon Slayer before he goes down. Dragon Slayer just about stays alive as he gets knocked away from the Slicing Maelstrom. Or rather, the Slicing Maelstrom gets knocked away from him. And
That
Sapling
was
saves
really
his top
close.
laner's life.
Shit.
Oh, man. That was dangerously close for Dragon Slayer.
Absolutely. I didn't actually get to see how low his health went, but it looked like he was in single digits.
If it's double digits, then it's not anything above 20. It's just barely in the double digits. Speaking of single digits, Prey Seeker from Raphael almost getting the kill there onto Hunmyoji.
See that, Vaneland's taking a different route from Dragonslayer. He's not going for all of the magic penetration, and instead going for some sustain here.
Yeah, well, you say sustain. I regret to inform
Oh,
you
that's right. Hextech Revolver
that
doesn't have
Hextech
sustain.
Revolver doesn't actually have any sustain on it anymore.
He's probably
It
going
is
for
pretty
the,
much just a purely damage item now.
Absolutely. I forgot about that. It's been so... I don't build that item, so I always forget that it's been changed.
Perhaps I'm a little bit confused by the item path nonetheless, as I don't know exactly what he could be going for with the needlessly large and a hex tech.
He's going for, I imagine, the proto rockets, as I think it's
The
called.
proto belt, yeah, but why would you stop off with a needlessly large rod in there?
I don't know.
Because the proto belt makes a lot of sense on cannon. Getting that little bit of extra mobility and burst is really strong for him. It enhances his combo.
Perhaps he originally thought he was going to go for Azanya's, but decided to change it up to for the extra mobility. Because
Splitting your build is something that can really come back to bite you, though. But
Absolutely.
we have some trades in the mid lane. The exhaust drop by BM Klein. And it looks like he's actually winning the trade here onto Hemmoji, which is the exact opposite of what we saw in the mid game last match. Artist Pain is going to be shifting away to avoid that explosive shot from doing too much damage. And Link will be chunked down to half, and they'll get away from a potential gank from Sapling Wiz on the bottom side.
absolutely. Valen's doing a really good job of killing these barrels before they can explode.
It's a race against the GP's bullet, and Mainland has been winning pretty often.
Having a very good sense of when he needs to kill those barrels.
I have to wonder if it was down to the matchup, or maybe just down to the fact that, boy, if you don't need it, a read on their opponents. But it looks like their solo laners are doing much better in this match than they were in the last one. Vaneland may be going down in a trade up on top side. It looks like that's going to be the case. The leftover damage from Gangplank ulti.
Decides not to pop his flash. May not have been worth it.
I don't know if he would have got out of there even with it. Could have flashed a little earlier and left the kill to Raphael Natalie, I suppose. And that is the proto belt completed, so.
Interesting. He decided he needed that extra mobility, I suppose.
Yeah, no, it's a great item. It's honestly, if I were to put together an optimal cannon build, I think it might end up in there. It's a contender for that, but it's just strange that he's split his build like that, going for a bit more burst damage potentially in the laning phase for the 1v1s with Dragon Slayer.
Absolutely. See that Sapling is kind of roaming around in the jungle, waiting for. They do know he's there though.
Stun from Divine TJ. Aligning it with both him and his AD carry to hit the support and the enemy AD carry at the same time. That is exactly how Tarek is meant to be played. I can see why they banned it away from this guy in the last match.
He's definitely having a good game. Temple Cross taking a lot of poke here, and Link is returning the favor.
All right, Divine TJ now, though, playing some havoc. He's going to be dropping his ulti. If he can just keep the Ezreal alive long enough, he will be invulnerable to those beautiful guitar riffs. I didn't even know the skin did that. There's the exhaust. The flash away, though, in response from Divine TJ. Does not want to be caught out by the Gragas ulti. And nobody's going to quite go down on the bottom side.
It's a sign of a good fight. Though we did see pretty much every summoner except Artist Pain's flash being burned there.
Neither top laner opting to use any of their global pressure on the fight, though. Dragon Slayer did have his ulti available, and both teleports are up, so a little bit surprising, honestly, that none of that was exercised. Or the Rek'Sai ulti, as we see it burn now, to get back to the jungle.
And they're just leaving bottom mostly to their own devices, except for Sapling. He's been down there twice now, I think? Maybe 3 times.
So I think Rek'Sai was close by to the fight. So.
He was fairly close. Now that I'm thinking back, he was just outside the tri-bush.
It's still the most puzzling thing to me is the lack of the Gangplank ulti. I don't know, perhaps Dragon Slayer is just a little bit off his game Not used to being the one who's 1 and 2 back in the laning phase.
He's used it only his dragons. He's used his ult only to initiate a gank in the top lane or to try and save himself. Feel like I guess he feels he needs it because he is having a fairly rough time, rougher than he's had before. He's
Oh man,
still doing all right though.
Cannon minion sadness.
Very sad.
That's unfortunate.
Sad,
One of the
sad
downsides,
day.
honestly, of playing blue build Ezreal, it's a good amount harder to farm to the turret than a lot of other AD carries because the point at which you're being shoved in the lane at like 15 minutes on the clock, which we're at right now, you don't usually have a lot of AD built up. Like he's got a mana immune and it's not really stacked too high. So Artis Pain needs some help farming under the turret, honestly. It's a small point, but it is one that makes blue build Ezreal just a little bit more difficult to play.
That makes sense. He is going to be working towards that Sheen, I imagine, to help make it a little easier.
Yeah, I mean, there's a point. Once you reach a given point, it no longer is an issue. But for a few minutes in the mid game, it can be a little frustrating
Absolutely.
if you're not used to it.
Especially against a Tristana lane who's shoving you into the turret constantly, which makes it a little harder to farm.
Tristana with the Runons. That is the minion wave killer.
Oh my. That's a lot of pushing.
We have a roam potentially from Hunmoji. It looks like he's not going to be going for it. As up on top side, we have the 1v1 between Vaneland and Dragon Slayer. That is some big old burst damage coming out of the cannon. Vaneland will get the solo kill on the Dragon Slayer once again. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, RM Klein looking for a fight of his own. And this is a reversal to the last game. As both solo laners are going for solo kills, but this time it's Boy If You Don't taking the aggressive stance.
Absolutely. It's not quite as extreme as the previous game was, but this is what Boy If You Don't needed. They needed a way to change things up to get things in their favor.
Oh, there's the leap in from Link. The exhaust comes down immediately, as well as the Terra Culti. The Terra Culti is actually going to stop out both the damage from the Braum Glacial Fissure, as well as that explosive shot, which surely would have killed Artis Pain. That bought just enough time for the jungler to show up. Gragas ulti comes down just to try and disengage for Tempo Crow, but an Ezreal auto was already in the air. Meanwhile, we do have a teleport down to the bottom side of the map from Dragon Slayer. He's going to assume that Barrow is going to kill Divine TJ. He may not get the kill because of this. The ward into the bush secures it for him, but that buys enough time now for RM Klein to have roamed from the mid lane, and Dragon Slayer will fall.
Boy If You Don't taking a little bit of control here, picking up 3 for 1.
We may be going to a game 3 yet.
Absolutely. It's not over yet, but this is definitely promising for Boy If You Don't.
Oh, yeah. Promising is a good way to put it. Only 1k gold lead, though, effectively.
We're seeing that despite the solo kills, that the solo laners are still keeping up in farm, biggest disparity being in that mid lane, which is still impressive for Hun to be keeping up that decently against an Azir.
Yeah, it's odd. Last game, 420 Help Me was doing much better work than their opposition. Boy If You Don't was being outclassed in a few departments, but now we're seeing Boy If You Don't kind of playing to their opponent's level. They're not really crushing their opponents just yet, like 420 was the last game, but now it's a much more even match. And there's a few different reasons for that, potentially. It may have just been lane matchups. RM Klein seems much more comfortable on Azir here than he did on Victor, and that may have something to do with it.
Which is curious that because they banned Arm Klein's Victor, which is I'm still kind of confused about.
Yeah, perhaps the wrong call in the draft phase. A lot can be gleaned from a draft phase, but perhaps also it's just that they needed to get a read on their opponents. You know, they have never faced off against this team before, and game ones can be rough if you're a team that revolves around playing around your opponent's playstyle. Artis Pain is going to get dove here, though.
And speaking of rough, that is rough being dived like that.
And just not respecting Tempo Crow and Link's ability to simply walk towards him.
We do see that he is building some of those items, though. Oh, Arm Klein getting
may go down
bursted.
here as well. The Ignite from Honmoji will finish off the kill, and surely the LeBlanc gets away from a Rek'Sai. Looks like that'll be the case.
Just fooling around.
Yeah.
I don't think there's not any way that he's going to be like the kill here, but
I mean, yeah, honestly, Raphael is happy to take the LeBlanc passive basically for free. I'm sure.
he's going to
It's
go
not a
and try to
huge and
push.
important cooldown, but it's a cooldown nonetheless.
He's just distracting while the rest of his team comes from behind. Raphael might be in trouble here.
Raphael could get dove. Tempo Crow is dashing forwards, but Divine TJ is there, and Taric is a little bit of a difficult one to dive.
Definitely is a wall. A big manly wall.
There's two big manly walls in this game. It's the Braum versus Tarek lane.
Lots of. If Tarek is fabulous, then what is Braum?
Um, Fantabulous?
He's got the mustache.
Braum is brawny. There you go.
There you
Rhymes.
go. I like it.
I don't know if that qualifies as rhyming, technically. Ooh,
Vainland not quite able to get that barrel.
Yeah, that costs him a good bit of health.
Definitely can't disrespect the GP burst, even if he does have the lead here. GP is a character that can do an enormous amount of damage. And speaking of, he's looking for a possible surprise deck, but Vainland is going to back.
The barrels in particular hurt quite a bit because of that inbuilt armor penetration. That is the real killer there. Also the fact that they'll carry over crits or on-hit damage. The barrels just do insane amounts of damage, and you need to respect them. It's a very barrel-centric composition, actually, here from 420. Gragas and Gangplank.
That means they need to make 3 more barrel champions so they can have a team full of barrels.
Oh, man.
Donkey Kong. Oh, Vainland going in.
Yeah, he's looking for an opportunity, and I think he's found it here. Even the auto attack was enough, as Dragon Slayer got insanely low off of that initial burst.
Absolutely, you've seen that he's working towards that Zani as he has the Seeker's arm guard.
One of the benefits of playing a high damage laner like Vainland's Kennen into a Gangplank is that Gangplank just can't afford to build Bruiser. He has to build full damage. That's just the way that Gangplank works. He does not work well as a Bruiser, so that is a perfectly legitimate strategy. Just try and burst him down faster than he can burst you down.
Absolutely. Seeing that the
Vainland
Proto Belt
kills.
is allowing him to basically secure without the Proto Belt, there's no way he would be getting those kills, I don't think.
Perhaps not, but that is an item he's allowed to build. You don't
Absolutely.
play around that.
Makes perfect sense. So,
He's
seeing
going to be flashing away. The Terra Cult coming down to buy them a little bit of time, and it looks like it'll be enough. Divine TJ still has to flash backwards as well. That's some summoners and ultimates burned. A payoff for waiting so patiently in the bush.
absolutely, we see lots of pressure being put on the boy if you don't to bottom lane. They're still doing all right. They're not too far behind, and we do
Oh,
see.
the flash body stun doesn't connect. Arm Klein is going to be able to turn around and do some good damage here. Let's see if Hanmoji can pick anybody off. He gets exhausted as soon as he comes in, though, and there's the Emperor's Divide. Arm Klein's going to stay alive here as Vainland is teleporting in on the backside of the fight. Actually, no, it's a teleport from the other side. Vainland just walked his way in. He's going to be picking up a kill. Artist Pain will pick up one as well. There is nobody stopping this. Ezreal, he's going mad here. He's getting great damage out. Nobody dealt any damage to Ezreal during that fight.
He was completely ignored. They didn't. I don't think they realized that his Iceborne Gauntlet completed.
I mean, even if he had only one half of an item completed, he still would have eventually killed people. I don't know if they could have afforded to focus him, but oh, nice on Burrow. You didn't see the knock-up animation on the Hanmoji, but he was actually stunned there.
Absolutely, Hun definitely in a risk here. If he decides to stick around, he could die.
Yeah, I mean, Raphael Nidalee doesn't have a lot of sticking power, but if Hun opts into fights with him, he'll be losing them. That's for darn sure with 300 health remaining.
Absolutely.
But Dragon is up, and that calls to all good junglers.
He is working towards it, but 420 Help Me is responding. There is Tempo Crow heading down that direction.
I think we might see a fight break out around this Dragon Pit. It already is down below half health, and it's a Volcanic Drake, so it's one of them good ones. Artist Pain shifts into the Dragon Pit, but has no more mobility to move any further back. He's going to go down to a crit from Link, as Link leaps his way out of there with the reset. He's now doing some good damage from the back of the fight. Raphael Nidalee has to tunnel backwards. Vainland is looking to shut down this AD carry. He flashes forward, but he can't quite get the distance he needs, and Dragon Slayer will get some revenge for that laning phase. Divine TJ will fall as the last member of his team, and that is an ace going over to the side of 420.
Oh,
to take advantage of
that's
a
rough.
misstep.
That was a huge misplay, unfortunately. They also lost the dragon to Sapling. And this could
That
be a
too,
Baron.
yeah. I didn't even notice that going down. A lot of that team fight was down to the great positioning from Link, the resets that he got to allow himself to continue to reposition, and the damage output that he put out during that fight. If we were able to see the damage output in a specific fight, like we can see on some replays for the LCS and such, I imagine we'd see Link topping the charts there. He did absolutely great work. Just a masterfully played fight as an AD carry.
Absolutely. They caught Artist Pain out very quickly, and he was just not able to get away.
And Artist Pain did, honestly, I think, shift the wrong direction. He shifted into the Dragon Pit and probably should have shifted down River instead so that he had more distance to run. Because once you shift into the Dragon Pit, you got to win that fight because you got nowhere left to go.
Absolutely. And he took a dragon hit, I believe, as well, which is... Dragon can sting a lot.
Oh, yeah, especially only 25 minutes into the match. And that's going to be, speaking of only 25 minutes into the match, a really early Baron going over to the side of 420, who they now have a 7k gold lead. Like, this game is no longer in favor of their opponents.
Absolutely.
420 are now in control.
And we see Dragon Slayer did force Armklein's flash with a barrel.
Oh, man. That's got to feel so bad if you're the side of Boy if you don't, because...
They had control, but...
Yeah, but similar to the first match that we saw with 420, their opponents didn't know when to cut their losses, and that is what caused Boy if you don't to lose that fight as well. Raphael Nidalee should have died there, and no one else should have. Because Artist Pain should have shifted down the river. Nobody else should have been around. Artist Pain probably shouldn't have been around either. Because it was a risky dragon call in the first place. Hunmoji is going to get the killing spree, diving underneath the inhibitor turret here. There's a double knockup, but it will not be amounting to much. The inhibitor turret is going to go down, and Link, again, on the fringes of this fight, is outputting massive amounts of damage. And just like I said about the Ezreal, nobody is touching the Tristana now. This is a story of AD carries as RM Klein will explode on the wrong end of a barrel.
And this could be some Nexus turrets. This might be the game, possibly.
This could very easily be the game, as Link still has a lot more left in that gun.
Absolutely.
Never runs out of bullets. It's not like a Jhin or a Graves.
What a hacker. Hacks.
Oh.
I call hacks.
I mean, if anybody can shred down 2 turrets in seconds, it
It
is
is
a
a Tristana,
Tristana.
and that is definitely going to be game. 420 helped me reversing that flow that they had going on.
And Dragon Slayer is a 666 scoreline.
No sixes in the CS. Can't give it to him. Can't give it to him.
Oh, man. Oh, Dragon
That's-
Slayer, he just wanted to be Illuminati. But he can't. You're not extending him an invitation. Anyways,
So,
that is the end of our series and the end of our broadcast for the night.
absolutely. That was a nice attempt by Boy If You Don't to make a recovery, but just the one misplay at Dragon was enough to reverse the game on them. Because it gave them both Dragon and Baron and an ace.
Yeah, I mean, real props to 420 for
They-
massively exploiting a mistake.
They capitalized on that so hard.
Yeah. But, yeah, I think that's just about it for us for the Night Effect, unless there's anything you'd like to say in passing.
Well, all I can say at this point is I just happy everybody came out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for everybody coming out and signing up. Hopefully we can see you guys next week. And I guess I'm going to give a shout out to our sponsors after I close the client out. And there we go. Alrighty. Partners. We are partnered with Battlefly, which is basically the website we use to create our tournaments. Very easy to use, very simple. You can use it for multiple games, more than League of Legends, for instance. We also have Law History app, which is a phone app on iPhone and Android. You can basically use it as na.opg, .gg, I should say, and Law King. Very easy to use. And then last but certainly not least, we have Vibi, which is the system we use to create highlight reels. We did see Will in chat earlier plugging it. And basically, you don't need software to create these highlight reels. You just go to the website and you plug the videos in, and you can create the highlight reels there. Very easy to use, very simple. And with that, we will be signing off. Congratulations to 420 Help Me for taking the championship. I believe I don't think they've taken it before, but I believe I've seen them before.
And on the back of the championship, or on the back of the win, they do get a free buy-in to our paid tournament. So you can just save a little bit of dosh that way.
Absolutely. Let's see. Boy, if you don't... Nice try. That was an excellent second game up until that little dragon fight. Hopefully we can see you guys again next week. And I'm going to refresh and see who took third place before we go. It was Polar G took third place from Bobo. So congratulations to them for third place.
All right.
And with that, we'll be signing off. Thanks for watching, guys.